if you're there, you were meant to be there. You planned to be there. And now that the home team of Cambodia has been knocked out, all the more I think all the Filipinos and all the Indonesians who just happen to be in the area will try to get in.
Oh,
It's gonna matter more.
And hopefully a lot of the supporters watching there live gets to experience it firsthand. Will make, like, I would say, quite loud noises.
Wait, speaking of,
Why?
Rockhart, you were there when the Philippines won the gold medal, right? Were you on site? Were you right there in the Philippine arena? That was the Philippine arena. That was the Phil Oil arena.
Actually, it wasn't. I
You
was in a
weren't?
different game.
Oh,
I was in a different
I
game.
remember. I remember. That's the.
That's 2019, right?
It's a card game, right?
Yeah, that's
You're
a
doing the
card
card
game
game during
I
that
was in a
time.
different
Yeah.
game there.
yeah, interesting. All right, so I was just gonna say, like, I was also calling a different match, different game,
Yeah.
covering different esports for the 2019 Sea Games. I was gonna ask, like, what's the energy like in an arena or a stadium that covers Olympic scale esports? Because we've never been.
Yeah, I've never been.
All of our coverage has always been via the tube, like
Yeah.
what we're doing now. So
we're doing it and like.
I can only really imagine. We have to talk to some of our friends that we actually spotted out
Yeah,
in the crowd.
maybe after the draft, because we are starting the draft
Here
of
we
this best
go.
of one. Indonesia will be playing on the blue side, and Philippines will be playing on the red side. The 1-1 and the glue ban, because Indonesia already banned the joy for us.
All right.
I mean, for the Philippines, my bad.
It's gonna be the Indonesia blue side that we've been talking about.
That's
that
right.
coveted 57-56% win rate side.
Mad advantage there. Taking out the Kadira and the Valentina, very important as well. The reason why they take out the Joy here for Indonesia is because they want to play the Kaja Franco Gambit. If you take out the one thing that needs the answer, you don't need the answer anymore. Right? It's
right.
like, why drink cough syrup when you don't have a cough?
True. You know what? There are other reasons, but looks like Philippines will be opting for their last ban, and they already
That's
took
right,
out
yeah.
the XP and gold lane options
Yeah.
for Indonesia.
Yeah. You sometimes want to pick
Oh,
the Kaja even
they're
without
they
it.
are it themselves.
Kai's is open.
So Kaja Franco, Yu Zhong, not first pickable. I mean, maybe 6 or 9 months ago, but yeah, no. Fredrin's good.
Yeah, and the Frederick pick will have straight up answers, specifically the Franco
Or
and
Eve.
the Kaja. The Felon. Is that the Eve? Yeah, that's the Eve. Oh my goodness.
The
Fred
Eve
Reeves.
locked in for the side of Indonesia. One of the best mages right now in the current meta, the Farsa, still is playable here in the first phase. In fact, they could even reserve that Farsa for the third pick and secure powerful picks first in the other roles.
Fred Yu Zhong, do they do it?
Do they bring out the dragon?
Or do they?
Diagon's Dragon?
Yeah,
The
Diagon's
dragon?
Dragon.
Do
Oh
they
my
bring out the
goodness.
dragon? Oh no, they bring out the
Huh.
Filipino hero himself.
Wow.
Dragon going in for the Lapu-Lapu.
I guess that's a straight up answer to the Eve, though, right? That's the
Yes.
only thing I can think about, because normally these would be reserved for third pick. Picking it a little bit early means that you are leaning towards your opponent thinking about it as well in this first phase of the draft, which is interesting because normally Lapu-Lapu isn't really that much of a high priority here.
And now with, I feel like our current world champions for MLBB putting a lot of emphasis for this Lapu-Lapu pick, it's resurging once again. But looks like they're going to lock in the Melissa despite the Farsa and the Lapu-Lapu being open for Philippines.
Wow.
This is prime time to get the Farsa.
Even
Lock
even
it in.
if they do get the Fars here, I feel like it's a bait. I feel like it's a trap. Indonesia rocking the Akai here is definitely going to split up Philippines' box, and they're going to keep it wide open. And it looks like Philippines understands that.
Yeah,
It looks like they're
Philippines-
ready. It looks like they're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah,
looks like
Philippines taking the bait. Like, instead of taking the bait, they eat the whole bait, you know?
They barely thought about it. They maybe waited like 5 seconds to lock that in.
Yeah,
They indulge.
Yeah, basically. Like the coach was asking the players, yeah, Farsa. And then they just go in.
Pretty sure Coach Bam of the Philippines don't talk like that, man.
I'm sorry, my bad, my
Likely.
bad. That's me, that's me.
Fia Dinu. But yes, taking out the Kufra here. This is a good ban. Having played my own fair share of Fredrin games, I hate bumping into a Kufra. It's just a non-starter.
Leading towards the gold band, it's going to be Indonesia. Interesting. Because right now, there are going to be limitations on the gold. Aside from the Claude, maybe the carry would have been the one to pick. But if they also ban out the carry, you might force your opponent into a Brody or maybe a Leslie at the very worst.
I'm thinking of a good gold laner that could potentially just dash away from the real world.
What about the
manipulation.
Bebe?
You
The
know,
Bea?
the Beatrix is still an option here, but I feel like Indonesia's gonna ban that out. Like Filipinos are quite notorious for Beatrix players, you know.
Yep, there's at least, what, half a dozen people fighting for the title of Filipino Sniper at this point.
Yes.
Yo,
exactly.
We have like 5 Filipino snipers. How about we give birth to the Filipina sniper? You know.
Yeah.
Oh, I would not be surprised if it actually is Shinoa here, the Filipina Sniperez.
Sniperess? Is that
Is
even
that a
word?
thing?
I mean, that's her name.
Yeah. No,
She plays a mean Beatrix, I'm sure.
Oh, wait.
The title.
Her name is Perez, so you're
Yeah.
Sniperez.
There you go.
Oh,
You're picking
my
up, you're
God.
picking up. There
Alright,
you
We
go.
were like
Alright.
10 seconds delayed on that one. Sorry,
Yeah.
Leo.
Are you off of Cambodia time?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah,
dude.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
dude. I'm like
100%.
I'm 2 hours away. In fact, I'm not even
Hour. It's an hour.
Uh,
You're plus 7.
You see, I'm +6 now. That's what's
Okay.
happening. Like, I'm not even in the studio right now. You're talking to a hallucination.
Catch up. All right, so this could be the Beatrix. There's several other answers. I think we brought up the carry. Could be.
Yeah, Carrie, definitely Leslie.
Yeah, Leslie.
Beatrix, though.
Anything with a dash, honestly.
Rockard, the Leslie's dangerous. You've been mentioning it since game 2, man.
You do not want to be.
There it is.
There you
There's
go,
the
you know?
Bea.
Snipe Perez.
There's the heart of the MPL.
Locked in. And this is what you want against I would say, a Eve. You never want to choose a marksman without a dash. The
Bro.
moment you're trapped inside of that real world manipulation,
It's
you're
over.
Yeah.
kind of dead, man.
But that's the Bea in the hands of
You're
Perez,
dead.
man.
All right.
Let's see if she even uses the sniper. A lot of the Beatrix users at this point in time opts for the rocket launcher. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's been 2 years of Beatrix, and we've finally cycled through all 4 weapons
That's
in
true.
the meta.
That's just Moonton understanding and doing their job, and
Yeah.
it's good.
That is true.
What if they just introduce a 5th weapon, you know?
That's
That's a
something
lot.
else.
That's just too much.
Here we go. As expected, there's the
Yo!
Lolita, but the Terizla, I wouldn't say that was
I-
I didn't see that coming.
No. I didn't expect that as well.
Even Vivero, you can see her face like, yo.
That
She's-
is. You know, but we've seen a lot of XP laners pick up the Terizla lately. I would say that it's mainly because of the amount of counter engage that you could actually do.
Yep.
But in terms of the laning phase against the Lapu Lapu, you don't really lane against the Lapu Lapu. It's just like sustaining each other's lane and maybe even cutting a few,
Cutting
you know?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're better off just leaving it.
True, but looks like their last pick would be this Kaja. I actually like this, you know?
That's pretty powerful. It actually will slow down the progression of a Terizla as well as a Lolita. Lolita. So it will kind of relatively, the Farce is relatively safe here.
Yep.
Same with the Beatrix, depending on the situation.
So, given that last pick Kaja, which is, if I'm not mistaken, what Team Philippines did as well in Game 2, they should be pretty solid. Good approach. And the box that Indonesia presents is now slightly breakable. I actually like this.
Yo! I like your prediction as well, Leo.
Thank you.
Very much
Absolutely.
Indonesia.
Stats don't lie.
I'm a man that believes in history. Like, if you don't learn from history,
You're
then you
bound
can't
to
move
repeat
forward.
them, you know?
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah, so
Also-
since you believe in history, do you believe that this could be an Indonesian repeat?
Also, just the same, if you watched the recently concluded broadcast for MPL Philippines,
Yeah,
season
what's
11, then you know what's up.
What's up? I watched it, but I don't know what's up.
Just pay attention. Catch up.
All right, I will, because we're entering this best of 1 against Indonesia and the Philippines.
Oh,
We
man.
have this is technically just a fight for who gets the first seed or
Yep.
the second seed.
But also, I think now that we've talked about it, there's a good amount of bragging rights as well.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
biggest
true,
thing.
It's intangible. There are no medals for it. But if the Philippines finishes this group stage on top,
It's gonna be part of those articles, you know.
Exactly.
Like the moment Philippines or Indonesia secures them, writers in the media room right now are gonna be like, Indonesia defeats Philippines and goes 2-0 inside the group stage. That's
Yeah.
already an article, and you do not want to be on the receiving end of that article, you know.
That also kind of has a mental hit to it, right? There's a
Yeah.
mental factor when things like it happen. And yes, this is also momentum for the whole tournament. If you think about it, because that's something that these players are going to have in the back of their heads.
Yeah. Because again, history states that Indonesian women's MLBB is dominant. It's the supreme discipline. But if here somehow the Philippines gets the better of Indonesia in a best of one, that's basically not much closer to a gold.
That's true.
And now we are seeing Indonesia getting a slight gold lead, but a lot of action happening around that turtle area. We're
Uh-oh.
seeing like 3 people down there. But of course, we're gonna watch the gold laners just juke it out with their zoning abilities.
Yeah, and right now it's looking like Indonesia's leaning hard towards that Terizla pick. Alongside Vival and Cine, they have pretty good control of the forward bushes.
Dear
It's going to be a little bit
Lord.
difficult for
Oh,
Morris.
goes in.
Checking it out. Man, that was an unexpected check right there.
Uh-oh.
Here's the Numino Blast. Vivian,
Oh,
the
baby!
backstep Numino Blast comboed with the penalty zone will result of first blood. There
Oh.
goes another one, and the bodies are just hitting the floor.
2 down?
Yeah. That was like, it wasn't even a sidestep. It was like a sidestep, backstep.
Fade
even
away.
It was like a fade
Fade
away.
away.
Great micro coming in from Indonesia. Now with the turtle, the first blood and a bonus kill, Philippines is looking like a sad team there in that exchange.
That was
All
not the
right.
best start at all.
Just the way Team Philippines ramped up into the early, it's difficult because Indonesia leveraged that XP lane share rotation that a lot of teams have started to pick up in the past couple of weeks. And because of that, Vivero didn't have the Divine Judgment. And that opened up Vivian's 2-woman Numenon Blast, sidestep 360, back.
No scope.
No scope. It was ridiculous, honestly. A team fight like that should have happened, what, at 6 or 7 minutes? But they happened to pull it off at 2. Here's another look.
Yeah, and with a Squid Game out there.
Oh no, that's the tail end of that
That's the
engagement.
tail end.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
already
yeah.
the tail end, and I feel like usually we wait for the real-world manipulation or even the feathered airstrike before we go on for those big setups. But honestly, the micro coming in from Indonesia in that fight gave them this 2K gold lead alone.
Huge. 2K at 3 minutes?
That was powerful. That was a powerful move there from Indonesia for sure.
Thinking of how the Philippines might actually clap back, I'd say this is a good thing that the gold lane isn't where the turtle is. If ever it was, there would be so much pressure on the shoulders of Perez. So now, the fact that the tempo up top is going to remain the same, the Philippines might actually have a better go again, round 2,
Yeah.
and retake that fight down bottom. Just maybe, unless... Oh.
Yeah, the dive is definitely a lot stronger in Indonesia with Vaterizla and headed by the Akai. So that top lane might have actually been in trouble. That's a good spot. Right now, the Turtle will be spawning on the bottom side, which means that this will be definitely telegraphed here for the Philippines as well.
Yeah, and now we are just waiting for the second turtle of the game to spawn. El Puerto will be securing her purple first. But with Indonesia already around that turtle pit, they might even just pull it away from the side of the Philippines. And I feel like they won't even contest. Like the Philippines would just give this turtle for free.
Yeah, I think this is the right call as well. No contest. Diagon just keeping them busy. Maybe giving them the 50-50. A little bit of a try. But no, if the Philippines are investing hard into their gold lane at this point.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's happening here. Sheldo with good footwork, able to dodge on out of those feathered airstrikes. And again, that means that the movements of the Philippine delegation on the top side has been basically nullified.
Yeah, still a 2K gold lead for the Indonesian squad. Philippines, as you said, Leo, they're waiting for this Beatrix power spike. And looking at how the Beatrix is built right now in the current meta, you usually go for big damage and armor penetration.
Uh-oh.
Looks like Vivero reveals them all.
That was a very good reveal, though. It's not going to slow down Indonesia at the moment. They are still on the fence. They are also still ready to go and pounce if given the chance.
So here's what's happening right now. Just reading the room. Given I've casted these women in this configuration, these teams very specifically, sparingly throughout the past couple of years. This is what happens to Indonesia's opponents a lot of times. When they get a small lead in the early, they just keep pushing the tempo. You see here how, a majority of Indonesia's teams, their members, oh wait.
Oh man, that's
Wow.
actually a very effective dive.
She's not going anywhere.
Expending all their resources to take out that bot, and they will also get a turret for their efforts.
All right, so I was saying, they're always on the opponent side of the map. You see how all of the members are always crossing the river at this point? Now, I'm not sure if they expected that gank from Team Philippines.
Yeah, that was very surprising. The moment the flicker was burned from Vivero, just going in for the Divine Judgment as well, there's really no surviving both physical and magical damage dropping on ya with the Bravest Fighter and the Feathered Airstrike. Even if you're one of the tankier members in the name of Fumieko, you really can't, especially in this phase of the game where you don't even have your first 2 tanky items yet.
Yeah, and actually, I completely agree with Leo said earlier, where this is exactly usually the pattern that we see from Indonesian opponents. If they get a lead, the enemies start to turtle up, right? And then Indonesia pushes the tempo, which is, I think, a little different from what's happening right now. Although, of course, Vivero would still be in trouble. Solo kill by Fumieko.
Jagon?
Jagon also gonna get punished. Oh my goodness, across the board, the Philippines are losing out.
Oh man, I feel like that's a slight issue of miscommunication from the side of Philippines. They went in for a lot of solo fights, maybe not so much for the side of Fumieko, considering that she was the one who engaged that one. But for the side of Jagon, we did see him go for the Bravest Fighter, and that spelled disaster for the Philippines. Now Indonesia is up by 3 kills.
Something tells me Diagon understood that she was going to die regardless because Team Philippines are now playing a very expensive trading game. Because of that engagement down bottom that Team Philippines managed to extend, there was a push up top.
Vivero!
Oh my god, Vivero! He got slowed
Oh!
down, but the Numenal Blast is not going to be charged up. There goes
Jagon!
Vivero. He's going in. Jagon's in enemy territory, and it is not a healthy trade for the Philippines at all.
That could have been a very healthy trade for Philippines, but they got a little bit too greedy. The healing coming in from Fumieko was enough to keep her alive. And Indonesia still ahead by 2,000, but great attempt coming in from the Philippines.
I think that flicker in by Vivero was read in, man.
Yeah. Man, let me quote Ariana Grande, Nathan Sykes here. Almost is never enough. That almost made the difference, but just the same, they only got shell. And again, as I previously mentioned, they're playing on a very expensive trade. Yes, it's good that it's a gold lane you took out, but if you're going to trade 2 for it at this point, when you're down 2K at 8 minutes, might not be the best.
Yeah, let's see if it does pay off for Indonesia, though. They've been holding on to this 2K gold lead for the past 4 minutes. It hasn't really grown, or it hasn't really shifted.
what?
But looks like they're going to get a kill on Fumieko. That wasn't really caught on camera. But Fumieko didn't have that flicker on her.
It's a good
during that
pick-off.
time.
It's a good pick-off.
Yeah,
It was.
Of all the people who get picked off, that's the least one that you expect. The Terizla.
Or that or Vival, actually, yeah. That's a lot of peel. I think that's one thing that the Team Philippines has to consider is the fact that there's a lot of peel and a lot of hard targets from Team Indonesia that Vivero has to pick her targets very, very wisely.
Yeah, and now Indonesia only with a 1K gold lead, even barely 1K.
Ooh.
Philippines equalizes the game, and they're going to be the first ones to touch the Lord. This is just a level 1 Lord, but it looks like they're going to start the dance already, and Indonesia a little bit late to the chase.
Philippines has a good position here for the Lord take.
Yeah.
And Fumieko, obviously, it's still checked out by Indonesia,
Oh.
but definitely they are ahead a little bit on the tempo. Although Vivero's nowhere to be found here, so I don't know if Indonesia's aware of this.
Philippine playstyle heavily depends on a lot of Lord dances, though Philippines might have an edge here.
Yeah.
But let's see if Indonesia had basically evolved from their team fight heavy plays.
This is very worth it. Look at the pressure and the wave that the Philippines have brought up. They just need to make sure that indeed it does. Wow.
Ooh.
Because of how quiet the past minute has been, Perez and Vivero have been able to push that tier 2 up top.
And that's massive. All of that from a lore dance.
Yeah, then this is just the specialty of the Philippines, mastering the lore dance. But the team fight is a mastery of the Indonesian squad themselves. The Al Puerto might just go down.
Those are 4 people from Indonesia diving straight into El Puerto, throwing everything that they have with the Philippine gold laner on the back
still
as
alive!
well. I don't know how he survived that long, but El Puerto definitely looking really good. She contributed so much. Vivero will get caught out though. I don't know where Perez was in that whole thing, but I think they're focusing more on the turrets, Leo.
Yeah, she made an early call. I wonder from who, though, if it was her initiative or if it was the rest of the squad. But look, she's switching up.
Yeah.
This might be an extended engagement because look, Vivera and Alberto are back in just 5 seconds, but nope, yeah, Indonesia's gonna blitz this.
Yeah.
Lord secured for the side of Indonesia, back to a 2K gold lead. Might just be even a bigger gold lead the moment that they go in with the level 1 Lord. Thankfully for Philippines, it's still just a level 1 Lord, despite it being very close to the 12-minute mark.
Yeah, that play went down like a house of cards, man. That was very, I would say, poorly built.
Yeah, they missed that corner spot and then it all fell down. And I think that's where Perez, I'd like to give her the benefit of the doubt that it was the better choice. But wait, Vivian!
Look at that! What a pickoff coming in from the Philippines!
Jagon.
They're not done.
look at the
locked
damage.
in. Oh, that Eve from Cine
Fumi.
getting a double kill. Then the Indonesian powerhouse
Oh!
is really showing up. And there it is for free.
Shinny with the Eve, just going in for 3 kills. A lot of damage coming in from this Eve, and usually we don't see this because a lot of Eve players go in for a lot of, let's say, utility. But what if the utility is the edge to kill?
Yeah, Chinny's built diff, and the
Yeah.
fact that her sister Chell is making the most of this is just lethal. Because again, this is a lineup that is a trademark. This is basically MLBB 101. You have 2 core heroes, the mid laner and the gold laner, and then 3 chunky boys, or girls in this case.
Yeah.
And that's what makes Team Fight for Indonesia so easy to get.
And I have to say, the
6K.
real-world manipulation allows for Muddles to shine even better.
Yeah.
The moment that you get like 3 people in, you throw in Muddles, that's basically it.
Yeah, there goes the real world like we talked about, but will be cancelled almost immediately. Penalty zone to the ground just for the disengage. Indonesia starting to play a little bit more safer, but I agree, this duo of Indonesia, Shinny and Chell, they're almost untouchable at this point.
I'm not even sure how it happened. It was just like within the last 5 minutes, their gold lead from 1K jumped to an entire 5.6K gold lead.
I'll tell you how.
Maybe save it for the post-game analysis.
Okay. I physically put my hands in my pockets, gentlemen. But here's the thing, folks watching at home, really, more than once in the past 2 or 3 minutes, the Philippines actually hesitated. The Philippines actually went in for something and then said, nope, never mind. They pulled back on what they were going to go for, and now they're forced to play from a defensive position. Earlier, they were actually going for things. Fellas, you remember, right, when there were still concealed plays, forward flickers from Vivero, and now, because of how those didn't pay off, they're now really just forced to play inside their base. I think that's the safest bet at this point.
Yeah.
Play inside your base and force Fumi Echo to overextend and maybe get a couple more kills on her or Vival.
I mean, they still have to pick off Chinny. Chinny's
Yeah.
like 6-0-4. That's a lot of money on her head.
She's truly untouchable.
And basically, that's the Philippines playing a little bit half-hearted if you look at it that way. They're starting to lose confidence that they can take immediately what Indonesia has. So now, they might be relegated to just play around and wait for Indonesia to make a mistake here.
Yep, look at El Puerto. She is very deep. But luckily enough, she is one of the chunkier members, one of the tougher members, durable, from Team Philippines. But look, she's sandwiched. What's that? 3 waiting in that bush
That's
for her?
scary.
I wonder which one she sees. I wonder if she even sees Vivian.
Vivian
Oh, now
has
she
shown
does.
herself. Plus the reset on the Lord. The Lapu-Lapu will be going back on the gold lane, try to shove the waves a bit. But this is essentially a 4v5 between Indonesia and Philippines, as the Lord is being taken down once again for Indonesia. Already half HP on this Lord at Philippines. They have to make a move. They have to make it
This
now.
is tough.
It's all going to be down to El Puerto and Vivero. Who is going to make the initiate? It looks like it's going to be both of them going for the 50-50. Not going to be happening. Secured still by Indonesia is the Lord. Going down is Vivero for their efforts. Perez might also be in trouble. There goes the heavy spin. Diagon will be relatively safe, but no, they're going to get caught out and pincer into the Indonesian delegation.
Wow!
Massive damage coming in from Amores.
Amores striking back for the side of Philippines. Indonesia did secure that Lord, growing their gold lead from 6 to 7.5k, and they still have the Luminous Lord marching on the top side of the map. It's still going to be up to Philippines to defend against this one, though it will be initially a 4v5.
Okay, good news and bad news. Good news, the Philippines has great highland defense. This is what I was pertaining to when I said that they have to play inside of their base, right? Outside is a no-no. Inside is fine, and that's how they got the shutdown on Vival. Bad news is it really doesn't change much. The fact that the waves of Indonesia are enhanced by getting that that enhanced Lord and even the level 1 Lord makes the inside the base play about the only real option.
Yeah, they're cut thin right now.
And this is going to be a base defense coming in from the Philippines. We'll be able to take down the Lord on the top side. But looks like Indonesia still has plans to take the bottom tier inhibitor turret. And they will be able to do so with a big siege minion going up bot. And now the mid lane only remains for the side of the Philippines. Still a 7k gold lead for the side of Indonesia. And Chinny still unstoppable. Perfect game so far for her.
Indonesia seems to have a chokehold right now of what the Philippines can do, and they're not letting go at all. Philippines, at the very least, understand their win condition does rely on that high ground defense.
Yep, and the amount of gold that they have should be the clear sign that, yeah, no, we need to wait. Some way, somehow, Amores needs to be able to farm a little more. Perez, not enough of a core alone to carry them out of the situation. And yeah, if somehow Team Philippines can take one on Chinny, should be the difference maker.
Okay, I don't know what that flicker was, Vivero, but it was in vain as Huerta will still go down. And that's another man down for the defense of the Philippines here. 7k goal lead for Indonesia. They might just push the effort, but luckily, no Lord available for the taking.
Vivian is from out of this world. I mean, she's from Indonesia, I understand. But no, the way she's been playing this Lolita from minute 0. As soon as she got that level 4, she was playing that Numenon Blast like, oh wait.
Here we go. Here's the pull act by Vivero. Good intercept from Fumeko. Now, it's going to be the clear. Diagon with the flicker in. Not hitting the mark once more. Nerves are starting to set into the Philippine delegation. Diagon got willed down by the Melissa.
Still a 4v5 scenario here with the Evolved Lord already spawning. Indonesia still holds a very big lead against the Philippines, and they could potentially make it even bigger the moment they secure this Evolved Lord. I don't think Philippines could try to contest this. They could try to go for the steal, but it's going to be very dangerous to do so.
All right, to try and solve the whole Vivian problem, and again, seeing how Vivian has been amazing since the start of this best of 1, maybe, just maybe, Vivero should even hold her Divine Judgment back anymore. Just use it on the Lolita. It's worth it at this point.
Yeah, just make sure that they don't get the set, or even, you know, the last time that we saw Vivero flicker, try to go for Chinny, but Chinny just literally walked away, didn't even burn the flicker.
She just walked.
She just walked, and that must have been so frustrating for Philippines.
These are the moments where it might be more economical to just go at whoever's up front.
Yeah.
Right? Just make use of it rather than just not get any value from your skills.
Yeah, something tells me this Eve is rocking a Brute Force breastplate in addition to the Blood Wings. So yeah, easier said than done. Even if you do find a way to catch Chinny off guard or off position, can you burst her? Can you kill her? Because she still also has a flicker.
Yeah, this could be the last play here. Seal already committed by Indonesia. There's Vivero looking for the targets. Noon Blast is charged in. Looks like there's going to be a cancel onto the Feathered Airstrike, and the defense will not be possible. Indonesia takes the game from the Philippines.
And the first seed coming in from Group A will be the undisputed queens of the women's division of MLBB, Indonesia, striking one down against the Philippines. Now going 2-0 in this bracket means they will be the representative coming in from Group A in the first bracket, though Philippines will be still advancing as the second seed, waiting for the first seed of Group B.
Yeah, that game where we just saw the Philippines' confidence shake into its core with a lot of actually big, massive errors from the initiates.
And I think there's a very good reason to take this both with a smile, and of course just understand that, yeah, this wasn't a good game for Team Philippines. Number one, lesson learned, right? Like you see how here in the group stage, despite making it through the next stage, there's still a lot to learn. There's still a lot to pick up from. And for Team Indonesia, yeah, no, still spotless. Again, as you put it, Uomi, the queens of the women's division across the world, taking it from their own local WSL to the MWI, and now the 32nd Sea Games. Team Indonesia definitely still on top. It's not going to change tonight. Not the hierarchy of power, the status quo. No, it's still Team Indonesia.
Yeah, not tonight, but it could change in the future depending on what happens next to our matches today. We still have a lot of best of ones to play. I feel like we still have 3 more to watch and 2 best of 3s all in today's broadcast of the 32nd Sea Games. We are not going to go in for the medals just yet, but we are going to know who's going to compete for those medals in this day number 1. For today's game, of course, in Group A, I think Group A is already wrapped up.
That's right.
We're going to wait for the Group B matches later.
Group A, SRR concluded.
What's SRR again?
Single round robin.
Thank you for reminding me. I almost forgot. You know?
We're going to be doing this a bit more today.
Yeah, a bit more
yeah.
today. I feel
You
like
know it.
well, one more SRR for Group B. Quite excited to see that.
Full set. Yeah.
Another full set.
Full
I
set.
think for that group, we have Laos, Malaysia, and Vietnam.
That's right.
And out of those 3 regions, Leo and Rockhart, which country do you think will be like the top dog there?
I'm waiting for Vietnam to pop up, man. But maybe that's later on. For sure, I mean, Leia's got a lot to say here. He promised something earlier,
Yeah,
right?
he promised that,
He promised
something
something
earlier. We're going to go back to how Indonesia secured that big lead from 1 to 5. Leo, mic is yours.
Let's take our time here. Again, this was actually relatively long. It did feel long is because both teams are actually doing quite a bit to do their game plan or to get that going. 19 minutes, 48 seconds. A few seconds away from it actually hitting TikTok timers. But as you see here, folks, that's about what? Close to 11K gold lead for Indonesia. As soon as we hit the late game, it really was just dire straits for the team for Team Philippines. The way that Indonesia drafted is, again, I mentioned during the game, is a traditional lineup. 2 cores, the mid and the gold, and then 3 frontliners. 3 ways for you to engage, 3 ways for you to set up a box, and 3 ways for you to cut through your opponent's lineup. Team Philippines, on the other hand, I'll have to admit, this is a very, May 2023 lineup. This is what works if you're going to go to the fundamentals of what competitive MLBB looks like. But the thing is, the way that they harnessed it, the way that they used it, especially looking at the 7 to 8 minute mark, which we'll see in the highlights later on, there was a lot of hesitation. When you're playing with a Kaja like this and you're playing with a Lapu-Lapu and a Farsa that has a lot of burst, and then you have across the map a Beatrix that's just farming up, trying to play into that mid-game power spike, it is so difficult when your opponents are playing this way. So I think Indonesia understood that. Indonesia not only drafted well, but also executed well, and when it mattered. Team Philippines, you can clearly see, and now in hindsight, where and when they were very hesitant and when they were like, yeah, let's do this. Well, what about this? Okay. And then it didn't pay off. And that's where Indonesia are so good at punishing. Looking at the post-game stats, you see here that Chini on that eve dealt so much damage. She was just there for almost 100% of the kills. So yeah, it's the fact that Indonesia's box was not only superior, but came up whenever the Philippines couldn't answer back. They understand and they knew. They were listening to the in-game cues of when the concealed play was coming and when Vivero was trying to get that divine judgment in. Now, what exactly could have the Philippines done? Not much, especially since Chini understood the assignment from minute 1. See here, I was right to think that she was building a brute force breastplate and a blood wings. At some point, she let go of the boots. It's because there was enough movement speed in the brute force breastplate anyways, and the genius wand and the ice queen wand. Not only that, I'd say there was a lot on the shoulders of Vivian, that Lolita, that again from minute 0 understood that my bonk is superior. I have a confirmed stun, and if I can land the Numenon Blast, it'll be more valuable than Vivero, who is actually choosing when to use that Divine Judgment. And that 1 or 2 seconds of hesitation, of thinking, opens up the team fight, just cracks open the plans of Team Philippines, leaving Team Indonesia taking the spoils and taking this W. Again, 8-0-6, almost 100% kill participation on this eve, which is now built like a battle mage going up against the Philippines, who, yeah, has a solid amount of burst, a potential for a lot of burst, but the way that Team Indonesia played just denied all of that. I think we'll see here in the highlights, boys, exactly every time the real-world manipulation comes up, Team Indonesia is able to convert.
I think Indonesia single-handedly showed us the reason why Eve just gets banned out in a lot of major leagues, right? Immediately on the first draft, because they just knew how to take care of the way that Cine played, and they maximized the usage of this alongside a Melissa of all heroes, just to put in the hurt.
Yeah, and when you pair up Eve, especially with the utility that the real-world manipulation brings, and of course the Void Crystal as well, it's just a lot of slows. And to top it off, a snare as well when you enter or leave the premises with the real-world manipulation. And when you pair that up with a Muddles coming in from the Melissa, it allows the Melissa to land more auto attacks, therefore land more dashes, changing the trajectory of Muddles in the process. And look at this. This was Philippines' biggest chance to secure a comeback or even mount a lead, but didn't really go well for them, mainly because of their own greed as well.
It's pretty good, but again, Vivero, he was just a split second late. And that split second meant that Indonesia could have repositioned, right? And resulted in just a disaster.
Yep, and it's that hesitation, those moments, those windows of opportunity that Indonesia is so good at taking advantage of. You see here, again, real-world manipulation gonna not only put Team Philippines in jeopardy, but also allow Team Indonesia to disengage. Chini is using her hero's kit to maximum potential. She's unlocked Eve's Sixth Sense.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't really shown in the highlights, but I'd like to go back on the first team fight of this entire match.
That's
where
right.
I think Vivian really landed that two-man Numenon Blast with the flicker setup as well. It was very much what set the pace here for Indonesia versus Philippines.
I think this is a big lesson to everyone, every team that's watching right now for the Women's League. Just respect what the early aggression of Indonesia can do. Maybe if that early 2K goal lead wasn't there, maybe it would have been a different story. Maybe the confidence of the Philippines might have been more, more aggressive, more dominant. But overall, it's just you don't give it that early. Right? I think that might be one of the keys to defeat them.
Two things. You don't give them the early game, and you don't let them do what they want. That's easier said than done, but I think in the draft and in your gameplay and in your comms, there's so many ways to do that. But yes, I do agree that Indonesia is just playing on a different level here. But good news, it's not too late. Team Philippines and whoever may come through the other side in Group B still has a lot of time, and they can work with what they have. But given Team Indonesia's performance here, again, I'll have to come back to saying it's easier said than done.
Yeah, and our next match for this broadcast is going to be Malaysia and Laos, and that's already going to start up the Group B, in which case whoever gets the first round the first seed rather, will be fighting the Philippines in the next match. Right now, we are heading on to a short break. Once again, I'm Umi, with me is Rockhart and Leo. The 32nd Sea Games MLBB Women's Tournament. We'll be right back.
to Mobile Legends!
Starting off 2023 with a huge bang. The M4 World Championship by Mobile Legends Bang Bang Esports achieved one of the highest peak concurrent viewerships of 4.2 millions, setting the tone for the year. And with the MPL seasons and official tournaments going underway in their respective regions, we know that fans across the globe wanted more. Taking place in Phnom Penh, the vibrant capital city of lovely Cambodia, for the first time in MSC history, this year's cup will include non-C representatives. And why do this and include international teams? The objective is simple: to improve MLBB esports level and ecosystem, evolving an established regional brand into an international championship, one without borders. MSC 2023 is a testament to the increasing demand and support from fans across the world. Hashtag See the World. We will work hard to elevate the tournament level and increase our esport competitiveness. With that, do look forward to witnessing world-class MLBB esports in Phnom Penh this June. See you there and see the world.
Every day, I have this reoccurring dream. A dream that has repeated countless times. A dream about destiny.
What's on your mind?
Mother, why must we build the Star Atlas?
We've been mapping the stars to reclaim our destiny.
Our destiny?
If we can unlock the secrets, we can break the shackles of destiny.
Finally!
Navaria, happy 16th birthday!
Mother? Ooh, star glimmers!
Even in darkness, they shine. The Atlas!
What's happening? It's pulling everything into it! Navaria! Mother! Hold on! Don't let it go! Break the shackles! Mother! Break the shackles!
16th birthday!
Finally! That dream again.
What's on your mind?
Mother? Was that really just another dream?
If we can unlock the secrets, we can break the shackles of destiny.
Destiny. If I can unlock the secrets, we can break the shackles. If I can unlock the secrets, we can break the shackles. Finally, almost done.
Happy birthday, Novaria!
Mother? I will definitely rewrite what's written in the Star Atlas. But why? No, I did everything right. If I can unlock the secrets, we can break the shackles. If I can unlock the secrets, Mother! Mother?
If our destiny was already written in the stars beyond our reach.
So, sabi ng ano eh, sabi ng Google, pag sa English na international, hello.
You're tuned in to the official English broadcast of the 32nd Sea Games, covering the MLBB Women's Tournament. At your service, my name is Leo. Here with Chantel and Wolf, we'll be covering the best of one matches from Group B, the winners of which will be seeded into the semifinals with one being eliminated. How are we today?
Actually, for the games that we saw earlier, I believe that for the women's MLBB per se, a lot has happened in terms of the progression of the teams, how they really play, and this is SEA Games, right? Yeah, we expect the teams to really show what they're capable of.
You know, we've just finished, I think, one of the most important matches earlier on. And if you're asking me how I'm feeling about it, I still can feel the intensity of that previous game. But, you know, we have to move on. It's going to be Malaysia this time. It's going to play now.
That's right. They'll face it off against Laos. And interestingly enough, Laos has been on the come up because it was their team that actually made it through to MSC this year, representing the Mekong region. So their women's team here now competing in the SEA Games. I expect the same expectations to come up. Now, for today's schedule, we just witnessed the best of ones in that SRR, the single round robin from Group A. Going into Group B, though, which is composed of, again, Laos, Malaysia, and Vietnam, will be going through their single round robin as well. Starting off with Malaysia going up against Laos just in a few moments. And real quick, we will have a lot of time to discuss their individual rosters, but as well we'll be following up with Laos, Vietnam facing off against each other, and then closing that up with Vietnam and Malaysia. And then to cap off tonight's competition and broadcast, we'll be doing best of threes in the semifinals with Team Indonesia waiting for the second seed of Group B and Team Philippines waiting for the first seed.
You know what? Looking at the schedule earlier, we really know that today is going to be a long, long day for our players and, of course, the delegates for the Philippines. But we saw their performance earlier. Now that we are on the Group B, really looking forward on Vietnam's performance, actually, knowing that they are also a prominent team in terms of MLBB.
Yeah, I think it's really how to say this. It's interesting to be part of Group B because now you're seeing in Group A there are two powerhouses.
Yep.
And now you have this choice where you kind of have a choice where do you want to face up against Indonesia or Philippines first? Reminder, in the playoffs or in the medal matches that we will have later on, you have to take note that it's only a single elimination kind of bracket, which means that whoever you face up in the second phase, it kind of means that you kind of need to pick it up because even when you're second place in the group stage, you might have a better shot at it if you're second place than it is if you're first place, right?
In the
I make
seeding,
this in. Exactly.
yes, because it'll be a better road for you onto the medal matches. So that's something that these teams might have to consider, given that it's Indonesia waiting as the first seed of A, and then the Philippines as the first seed, the second seed in A as well. So it's a A1 versus B2.
Correct.
So you understand, right? Visually, it makes more sense. Now, going into this next best of one and those to follow, let's have some expectations for these squads. Again, they will be walking into the venue in just a bit. Let's welcome the players coming in from Malaysia and Laos. Here, Malaysia, Chantel, you should be familiar with them. They are players that have played in the MWI. They're composed of ladies from both Team Hawk Ladies and Zeg Iris.
Definitely for Team Malaysia, a lot has happened. I believe MWI was around January, if I'm not mistaken, January, February.
Yep, this year.
This year, so they had a lot of time to fix any errors that they had or maybe change their strategies. And for Team Malaysia, all they have to do is to focus on really getting that groove, against Team Laos.
Yeah. Between the two teams, like Malaysia should be the one who's favored, knowing that they have the experience internationally and locally. We know for sure that Malaysia, as a region, has developed their own brand of Mobile Legends. But I did hear from the fans of Laos, especially after winning the Mekong qualifier, right? There's a lot of focus, and the lens is magnified towards Laos now. From their men's squad, and now of course with their MLBB women's squad as well, because we know that as you develop a region, you kind of develop also the players in it, whether it be from the men's or the women's division. So now we have to look at Laos as well.
And with that, they bring in their main five, their only five. So this should as well be a sign of how their scenes are doing, right? An analogy, given that I would not be surprised if Team Malaysia actually had a short list of what? 8 to 10 ladies that are going to be part of the full Malaysian delegate. team, and then Team Laos is the one who just, you know what, we're fixed. It's just Platu, Karawap, Cookies, Bumblebee, and Nu. That's it. These 5 ladies, they're going to fight for this flag. They're going to go ahead and do their best, go deep, hopefully, and show the world what Malaysia, what Laos MLBB is like.
With that information, it says that for our players, specifically for Team Laos, they really have to be prepared in terms of mental fortitude. You know, they will be playing a lot of games today, specifically if they win this match against Laos. And for going back to Team Malaysia, I really like that they have a lot of players. Again, they could change or switch things up in terms of the roster of main 5 coming into the other games today.
Interesting coaches that we have right now, of course, from above representatives already showing their love. This guy looks very, very familiar, although I think he doesn't look like from the Philippines, right?
Is that from Onyx Philippines?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
I got that.
Yeah, but kidding aside, I think that Malaysia, what you can expect from this team and this particular region, not only from the women's Mobile Legends perspective, but also in the men's perspective, is that you will never have a set meta game to look at. Yeah, surely you can expect them to pick up the usual suspects in each hero, but this is also in each role, I mean. But Malaysia as a region has developed to be one of the more experimental kind of regions. They are willing to go for those unconventional picks, like something like a support hero in the XP lane, or maybe a very unconventional jungler. You can even expect something like a Gatot Catcher or an Alice from the jungle role. That is how diverse this region is. For Laos, there's really not much that you can base on since we have not seen much from them. But from Malaysia, what we do know is that it is a team that's willing to make those unconventional picks.
I really like that you've mentioned that for Malaysia, there's an opportunity for them to actually mix and match in terms of the heroes. Again, in terms of MLBB, if you put in a hero that's not really part of the so-called meta, it is expected to be a game that is in between little to no information on how the team will really rotate or execute their plays. So it's something that we should look forward for Team Malaysia.
Yep, and the way it sounds like how you so eloquently described, this might actually be the Wild West in Southeast Asia, right? When it comes to a team with very little information on them, and a team that's willing to experiment and do things in lanes and in situations where you don't expect them to, then yeah, you're in for this, folks. You don't want to miss Team Malaysia versus Team Laos. Now, talking about that one advantage that maybe Team Laos has over Team Malaysia is Team Malaysia, the more developed squad, they could have had more material to study on. They could have picked up on a few things that maybe Arya has done recently. Yeah. Rosemary in their last big tournament, I'd say maybe MWI, that far back. Maybe they can study their tendencies there.
Yeah, that's actually true. Again, even on other tournaments or for MPL Philippines per se, for the other teams, if you're really at the top or there's a lot of information for the team, there's an opportunity or a big space for the other teams to like really get to know more on how to really negate the play style, and it is something that for Team Laos could use against Team Malaysia. And by the way, Team Laos is the team that has been majority of the Filipinos are really looking forward to play. You know what I mean.
Yeah, there's a lot of like attention already for Team Laos.
I hear it and I acknowledge it, because even in the arena themselves, you saw how much even the Cambodian crowd actually likes Team Laos.
Even the cameraman likes Team Laos. But yeah, jokes aside, for these players, I mean, before there's a comparison on how women's really play as compared to the men's division, but with the games that we saw earlier, it's safe to say that there's no difference anymore with the heroes. Before, we see other heroes that's not really part of the meta that is played by women, but with this type of play style that we see from the female representatives for each countries, it's safe to say that this is a good progress for the female players.
Yeah. What we do know is that this will be just a precursor of what might happen in the future, right? Surely we only have like one big tournament every year that is available for women's, but hopefully Southeast Asian Games opens up a lot, right? I mean, if we know that in the next few years we are going to consistently have tournaments that are specifically made and organized for women in esports, in Mobile Legends in particular, maybe this is the start of a lot more minor tournaments so that we can build up. And I think that probably that is the reason why Indonesia has been very successful in women's tournament. Because if you just look at the volume of how many women's tournaments there will be, Indonesia will have like twice as much or even 3 times as much women's tournaments.
Yeah, the Women's Star League alone, one of the bigger tournaments in Indonesia, runs twice or thrice a year,
Yes.
all in. And I think that does more than well to prepare them for the eventual MWI, which has become an annual event, which is part of the MLBB yearly calendar. Now, that being said, I do hope that this 32nd SEA Games, this medal event for women's MLBB, does open the floodgates. And I don't think it would be too much to ask that right here, right now, in the Wild West group, that is Group B, there might be a breakout star amongst Team Malaysia, Team Laos, or Team Vietnam.
I remember it correctly from the previous SEA Games that there's this team for the men's division that we don't really have any information, but with the performance that they've shown during the run, it's a surprise for everyone. So for these players or for these teams that is part of a Group B, since the majority of our focus is on Indonesia and Philippines, this might be the group we're in. We get to see the dark horse for this 32nd SEA Games. But yes, for Team Laos and Malaysia, a lot has been really looking forward for this matchup. And of course, since this is just a best of one series, I'm not sure with the hero picks, right, Wolf?
Yeah.
Because we have these heroes that when we say it's best of one, these are meant to be so-called the best of one heroes.
Yeah, for sure. Like, what are the best of one heroes, right? That you go for. I think majority of the teams that are unknown will generally tend to go for the unusual picks, anyways. Like, for example, maybe we can see something like a Sicilian, which Zeg Iris, if I pronounce it correctly, Zeg Iris kind of did in MWI just last January. But apart from that, they are also picking up something like Esmeralda. Although Esmeralda is it doesn't really look like a pocket strategy, but nowadays it is, right?
Yep.
So what I'm trying to say here is, I agree with you, Shandel. This is those kind of tournaments and those kind of settings where you want to surprise really your opponents, your opposition. And this time, that is very true with a team like Malaysia.
Yep, we're about 5 minutes away from starting the draft, and we've already thrown out a few names, right? Some heroes that might actually make a showing, leverage the fact that this is indeed a best of one. So if you can surprise your opponents and shock them into a game, into a situation where they were not as prepared. But again, for you to get there, you have to actually acknowledge and understand the fact that some heroes, again, stretching it between all kinds of competitive MLBB, are going to matter. And throughout the first 3 games we've had today, one of those heroes, definitely the Fredrin, right? Fredrin is still a huge role player.
Sure.
Eve is super important. But what is surprising for me personally is the fact that the whole Kaja Franco dichotomy isn't as important here. It's not as pronounced as it is in the previously concluded professional leagues across Southeast Asia.
I do agree with that. Maybe it's because of the fact that some teams aren't really used to that. I would say that happened. The Kaja and Franco, the massive magnification of these two heroes in just the previous weekend is just because of the mastery of the players who are up on top, right? If you compare that to maybe 3 weeks ago, wherein you saw like MPL Indonesia, there's a different power shift in the particular heroes that they want to pick up. I think that they will want to go for Joy and Arda like 3 weeks ago, but now it's Franco and Kaja. Like, look at the sudden shift, right? So I think in order for us to understand what generally is the power play for both these, you have to understand what they are used to, right? But unfortunately, this is a best of one group stage, which means only the best will be brought up.
Yeah, actually, I like that you've mentioned the best of one, because I personally, when I play, if it is a best of one, since I've played before for a female team, when we say best of one, it's either when we do the drafting, it's either we go for a hero that is really on the ganks, or maybe on the single targeting that could really burst at the early game, or
Pickups,
maybe
yeah.
go for a hero composition that is meant for longer team fights, right? If you go back to the hero composition of Indonesia earlier, we were mentioning that it's really hard for Akaja to like really initiate because you have the Lita, you have Terizla, and you have Akai at the same time. So it's really more of the teams picking their own poison
Yeah.
for this game if they want to go for those heavy team fight type of lineup, or more on the rotating type of lineup, you know.
Fun fact, in Nihongo, Akai means red.
Oh, really?
Or, wow.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. What?
After how many seasons, and after when MLBB was introduced to everyone, that's the first time
11
that I
seasons,
knew.
dude.
11 seasons,
11
Chantel.
seasons, yeah.
Yes.
And you're both wearing red, by the way.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
We're wearing Akai.
Yeah. So
Wearing
I
Akai.
am between
Akai suits.
Akai gods.
Akai suits.
Akai suits.
Yeah. Akai suits. All right. I like it.
Now, unnecessary trivia.
Yeah.
Totally useless. I acknowledge that.
But we might see Akai this game.
Aside.
So
No.
Yeah, no.
It's
that's-
irrelevant.
Definitely,
Still
yeah.
relevant.
So Akai's side, is that?
Oh, no. That's something else, I think. So
that's something else.
We've
Alright,
had 3 games in, very small sample size.
Okay.
But, yeah, no. I think given that this is the Wild West group compared to, again, Group A, which had the Philippines and Indonesia in it, I think here we can say the win rate for Blue Side and Red Side is closer to 50-50 than ever.
That could be. So that is very true, because I think that the only time where the side actually matters is that if you already have free advertisement, by the way. If you already have established your priority or your emphasis in a long series. For example, if it's a best of 7 or a best of 5, that is when you start to think about, does this team actually win with the blue side more or with the red side more? So yeah, I think that so far there's really, I think that we
Which
don't
one?
know
Which
yet
side?
if we favor blue or red side.
Yeah, actually, even on the other tournaments, actually for the blue and the red side, definitely. What's good if you are if you are on the blue side is that you get to dictate as to which heroes are opened for the red side, right? Because you have the option to like really open up heroes that are meant to be picked by the other team, and then get those counters for that. And by the way, I really like to see that the crowd right now is a mixture of different countries, you know, with the jerseys, that uniforms that they are wearing.
Yeah, no, Southeast Asia definitely is in the building. And it's nice to see old friends as well, right? Like not only, again, of course, delegates from Team Philippines that, of course, we're very familiar with. We've also seen in the crowd good friends from Malaysia. Andrew Chong was on camera. I don't know whose Facebook page he was flashing over there. But, again, he's out there en masse with the rest of Team Malaysia showing support. And here now, as we go into the draft, it should be starting anytime soon. We'll see exactly who gets first pick, number 1, and then how they're going to leverage that main strength that Chantel here just mentioned about how important and how strong that capability is. I wonder what Team Malaysia's coach is doing there, just raising up
it's
fingers.
like 2 fingers and 5. What does that mean? I thought he was counting down because the draft is about to start.
But the other fingers are not
Yeah, it's
doing the countdown
exactly.
gesture. So
That's not the right order, no.
Yeah, not-
5 does not come after 2.
yeah,
Not immediately.
not immediately.
not unless he's saying a different combo for a specific hero, but there's no hero that has 5 skills, so
Not yet.
I doubt.
Is there no hero with 5
I think it's 4. Or
Wait.
correct me if I'm wrong.
I
By
actually
the way,
don't
we
know.
are 3 analysts
Oh,
here.
wow.
Off the top. Try to think about it.
Is there a hero with 5
Test
spells?
of
I only know 4. Max is 4.
Yuzhong.
Yuzhong only has
Usually
4.
has 4.
Are you sure?
Not unless if you include the flickers or the
Masha
other
has
spells.
4.
Masha has 4.
Fars has
Fredrin
4.
Fires has 4.
has 4. Fredrin has 4. Right?
That's right.
Maybe that's a different.
Wow. Good. There's so many realizations
Something
today.
else, yeah.
That's something else.
That is something else. That's a different. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, no, again, there's a good reason why. Moonton
Yeah.
understands that one of the main strengths of our beloved esport is that it's so simple to pick up. Again, there's so
Yeah.
much depth.
That's right, that's
Yet
right.
for the average mobile gamer user, if they so decide they want to dive deep in, there really is just this opener. Now, looking at the body language and at how the coaches and the players' phones are set up, it looks like the draft isn't ready quite yet.
Not yet.
So please do bear with us, and we will do our best to share just as much important and in-depth MLBB information and useless trivia with you. That's my promise.
That's yeah. I mean, trivia is trivia, right? Yeah.
No information is completely useless.
Yeah.
Like, you will use it somewhere somehow.
Regardless.
Yeah,
anyway,
imagine
yeah.
like you watch the stream and then a week from now there's a trivia, like a trivia night at a club or whatever. Then you get
Use
in.
that information.
How many heroes have 5 spells
Yeah.
in Mobile Legends?
Say
Then
zero.
you confidently zero.
Yeah,
Your first
and
one
then-
and you win.
And it's as if you're an MLBB god, you know?
Yeah.
You know everything working around the MLBB.
Yeah.
So yeah, with again for this matchup, again, aside from the fact that we've mentioned that this is gonna be a long game, it's really more of them setting up the tempo. Again, the crowd is really supporting our MLBB female players, and going back to our thought. It's really more of them setting up the tempo.
Yep.
Again, the majority of the players really went, or they flew to Cambodia, of course,
Yep.
just to compete. And sometimes it is a factor that you are on a different country.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the jitters are there. Could be a factor for the teams.
Yeah, no, talk about that time difference.
Yeah.
It sounds weird, but believe me, folks, an hour difference gets trippy. The fact that back home, it's what? An hour off? People are already asleep, and the difference is you're still awake and you're here out competing for what? The game of your life?
Yeah.
That's very trippy, and that's something that might as well get to our athletes here. Something that's worth considering.
Yep. And I think that overall, the meta game has been. How long has it been since the last big patch, right? So I think that we can safely assume that everything is stabilized.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the cue for, oh, well, it is.
Yeah, it is the cue.
It is the cue for the actual
Perfect.
draft. And it will be, as the metagame dictates, it's going to be the ban under the Joy as well as the Valentina.
So it's the usual bans actually for both of our teams, but we don't really see Valentina being banned most of the time. It's really more of I believe for the side of Malaysia, they're really looking forward on a different type of hero. Have we seen 1-1 being opened?
Nope.
Not yet. Still 1-1.
Nope.
1-1 still not playable.
In the few games that we played today in the women's division of MLBB in the Sea Games, everybody knows, everybody understands.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
Interestingly,
That's
the
early.
It's very early. This is probably the fruit of their research. This kind of quick ban on a pocket or of a targeted hero ban. This is most probably a product of the research of Team Malaysia's coaching staff that they ban it out. Laos, I think that they should be banning out the 1-1 right now. Something along the lines of a Kaja and a Franco will be banned out later on. But for now, like not having an answer to this, especially of being on the red side as Laos, just ban it out. But this time it's gonna be the glue. I would say this is a reaction ban because you know that the COD can be sometimes picked against the glue.
Yeah, and since glue has been banned, most likely or actually there's a possibility that Faramis could be open for this game because not unless Malaysia will ban it out, but I
Yeah.
believe they should ban a different hero instead.
I agree.
So Laos will be thinking whether it's 1-1 or Faramis. Oh, they
That's
went
odd.
with the 1.
Yeah, that's odd.
Yeah,
It's
that's
usually up to
odd.
red these days, but yeah, no, that's what makes this group so interesting.
Exactly. The only reason why you ban out the 1-1 as the red side is if you don't really want to pick it up, not because you don't know how to use it. I'm pretty sure that every single team right now should know how to utilize the 1-1.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's how strong it is. But it means that Malaysia is prepared for this best of 1. They have that pocket strategy that they want to pick up as the first. I'm thinking either Kaja or the Arlet as their first pick.
Oh, definitely for Malaysia. Okay, so it's gonna be Arlot ban here for Laos. So since we've been seeing for Team Laos that they are banning XP lanes, possibly for Team Malaysia, it is the role that they
Yeah.
want to limit in terms of the available heroes open.
Yeah.
Yeah, Faramis is open, Fredrin is open,
Eve is open.
Eve is open. Yeah,
So good.
Yeah.
I could vouch actually that majority of the women players are really good in terms of post force, mages, burst damage
Yeah.
heroes. Yeah.
So it means that, yeah, Eve should be the priority. I'm also thinking Kaja as it is a one-size-fits-all kind of hero, right? And it's going to be the Kaja.
There it is. All right.
So you still are incentivized to go for the Eve this time, though. When you think about the fact that you do have that wonderful opener for a team fight, it's also one of the strongest heroes nowadays. But in the presence of the Kaja, you might rethink it. So I'm thinking Fredrin and maybe Farsa for Laos this time. The two strong, yeah, meta picks as well.
Yep. Burst down the Kaja even before it comes out.
Yes, exactly.
Solid box. But yeah, it's so odd that from the way Group A played, now Group B, no one cares about the Eve. That's so weird. There it is.
There it is. They heard you.
Efred. Efred.
So Efred. Oh,
Oh, that's a different sound.
that's wow.
Oh,
This Akai.
Is
It's
it
the red.
too
Red on
early?
red.
Or
Red on
red
red.
on red. Is it too early for the Akai pick here for Team Laos? I believe not unless they're really comfortable with using Akai. The thing here is they could use it as a jungler and as their initiator as well. Okay, Melissa.
This
I
is
thought it was
interesting.
gonna be a Beatrix for Malaysia.
Yeah, same. Melissa typically struggles against nuke mages, most particularly Eve, because there's a lot of slows, right? Even if you stay in your dome, in your ultimate go away dome.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, there's no reason for them to steal the Farsa here because Laos can't pick it up either.
Exactly. So it's.
But they still do. All right.
A bit too
don't want-
early though.
Yeah, they didn't want it to be banned out.
That's
maybe.
right.
So
yeah.
could be the case. Although I would say that this is always like the duel between the Farsa and the Eve. There was a time in the metagame where the Farsa is more favored, but I think that the previous weekend showed us that Eve is like the top commodity between Eve, Farsa, and Valentina.
There's a memory in my head now. There's a world wherein lineups had both Farsa and Eve. This is what, early 2021?
That's right.
Yeah.
But because that's when the Eve was, where the Farsa was coming in from the
Gold
side
lane.
lane. All right, there you go.
Or you know, sometimes they swap it depending on what they wanted, but
Okay.
mostly on the
gold lane.
Farsa gold lane, right?
Okay.
Yeah, just to limit and stop the marksman already. And it's gonna be a Moscow here for Team Laos.
Yeah.
There's no prioritization on the Beatrix,
No
but
priority.
definitely for Team Laos, it's as if they are getting ready if there's gonna be a melee hero
Yeah.
here for Malaysia on this Moscow pick.
Yeah. So there's also that. I really like what Laos is thinking now. I mean, surely they do pick up the Akai very earlier on. It's almost a flex pick, although you know that it will go jungle most likely. The Moscow as the answer to the Melissa. This has been seen in MPL Indonesia and also in MPL Philippines. Particularly if you combo it up with the Eve, you kind of counter really. You make it so difficult for Melissa to position herself in the team fight because of the Eve. And then you also have that damage output with the Moscow wherein if you line it up perfectly well, your passive actually goes through the dome of Melissa and you have the immense amount of damage. Ultimate from the Moscow also kind of stops the Farsa Feather Air Strike. If you think about it.
If you
That's
line
what
it
it's
up
like,
properly.
So if you are so good at lining up your spells as the Moscow, you actually have so much answers already inside of Malaysia. But, dare I say, this is not as easy as it sounds. It is actually a difficult hero to use.
Yeah, and you have to plant yourself. You have to commit. And I'm not so sure if Laos box is enough for that Moscow to pay off. Because, again, both teams are still lacking an XP laner.
Yeah.
I expect that we should see, well, there's Arlet's gone, Lapu's gone, Yuzhong's
Yuzhong's
gone,
gone.
right?
Actually,
So who's left?
I have this crazy thought in terms of if you have Melissa on a team.
Terizla?
Maybe in a different world, there's a possibility for a Yin, against Melissa.
Oh,
Just
wow.
use the Yin to like really have that Melissa out of the team fight. Could be a possibility, but it's as if you're having a bait hero that's also not part of your lineup, but could be a possibility here.
That? Or you just want to see the Jujutsu Kaisen skins fight each other?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
one
that's
too.
also
Likely.
Likely. So let's see Julian and Xavier, right?
As
And
well.
Yeah, why not? But okay, so we're talking about like what are the possible answers here from the explain. I'm thinking about Grok actually, but it's immediately banned by Malaysia. Good ban on their part because Grok actually answers the Farsa arguably the Melissa because of the flicker wall charge potential, and also somewhere along the lines of the Kaja where although you can be suppressed no matter what, the fact that you can check the bushes and be the frontliner for a team is also really good. But this time it's gonna be the Lolita as the answer.
Nice pick actually for Team Laos against the Melissa, and even on the combo for the Farsa with the stun.
Yep.
So a nice pick for them.
If she somehow makes it through.
Yeah.
But again, so far, Malaysia's box is fragile. Malaysia has very little box control as is, and here's how they have to clean it up. They have to fix it. Like, what XP lane can do that?
Oh, thinking, yeah, maybe Turtles does a follow-up. There's also that Baksha or Fredrin that they can pick up instead in the jungle.
Fred's still out there.
Yeah, so they can start that up. But maybe you're concerned about the fact that there's a Moskov in front. Like, you can utilize the Fredrin as a free access to the backlines, right? Even if you're very tanky, you can expose your backline. So maybe a Baksha might be better for Malaysia. So, but yeah, I heard the Fredrin. Oh, Fredrin the XP and then the tanks a lot or the Lancelot.
So the problem with Moscow in terms of late game has been answered, and this is what I'm really looking forward with the Lancelot pick of Malaysia. Is it gonna be the usual sustain type of Lancelot, or is this gonna be the usual assassin Lancelot, just to really have that Moscow out of the team fight? And Terizla has been really picked for this Sea Games, definitely.
And say what you will, we talked about the fact that this should be the Wild Wild West, but you're looking at a very standard draft for both teams, save for the Moscow. But then again, if you think about all of the semantics and the rudiments of this hero, it is fundamentally okay with the other squad, so with the other composition, so it means that it's a standard pickup anyways.
Yeah, both of them. Because again, even Team Malaysia had that unorthodox swing of Lancelot plus Fredrin immediately. But again, I personally would have seasoned the taste. I would have gone Fredrin jungle and then a tankier XP lane.
Exactly.
I don't know. They're going to be playing here. What this says, telegraphed, is we want objectives.
Yep. Well, they want to group up for sure. They want to group up as 5. You're looking at the composition of Lao. The Terizla is actually good. A hero, especially because you already know that the Fredrin is going XP lane anyways. So, although we did favor all of us favor the Malaysian team, I want to say though, the Terizla could be a good way to kind of change the tempo of the game, especially in team fights. We just said that Malaysia wants to group up, and you know the hero that likes the enemy grouping up. That is definitely Terizla, right?
So despite our predictions actually saying unanimously Malaysia should be at an advantage here, I do believe Laos came in with a great draft. Like that was good.
I agree.
In terms of team fight composition, initiation, it's really complete with those factors, and probably our prediction was that maybe because of the information that we have for Malaysia as well as compared to Team Laos. I mean, we're here for the surprise. Everyone has been surprised since last week.
For sure. I really like how they answered. Like picking up the Eve instead of the Farsa. Normally, people will pick up the Farsa against the Kaja because if you're the Eve, you get suppressed anyways, and that's the only way to stop that ultimate. But then, if you think about it, if the Kaja commits the ultimate just to stop your real-world manipulation, you already did your job, and I think you're going to be much better.
And likely you'll even survive.
Yeah.
Because again, the way that Eves are played and built these days, you build that brute force breastplate, item number 2 or 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's so hard to take you down.
I agree.
And even the damage as well, as compared to the previous Eve, is really evident. I mean, one swipe or maybe a tap could really puncture on the HP bars of the enemy players or enemy heroes.
Oh, okay. I'm actually very surprised to the point where we only saw like the standard heroes.
Yeah.
Like, but that is that doesn't mean that we will not see anything very exciting about this round anyways. Like Fredrin and the XP lane going up against Terizla, I do feel that it's an even matchup, and you can even argue that, actually, now that I think about it, I think Fredrin still is favored in a way.
Especially during Lord's dances.
Yeah.
And in large engagements.
Yeah.
But I think Terizla has a higher ceiling for reward. Because again, if you do find that magical penalty zone, Careful, I think she got grounded there. If you do find that magical penalty zone, it's over. The magical appraisal's wrath is just damage. But the magical penalty zone could win you games from out of nowhere.
Yeah, and at the same time, even on the clearing of minion wave, if we talk about the early game, I believe Terizla is on the upper hand.
Correct.
So in terms of rotation, I believe it will be really fast for Team Laos, but for Team Malaysia, I'm sure that they are prepared for that type of pick from Team Laos. They could, I don't know if it's only me, but I see most of the times that the majority of the early rotation really goes to the XP lane most of the times recently. So it could be a thing here for both of our teams.
As we start, it's wow, this is really good. Like, I like the decision here coming out from Malaysia to park their Kaja into the bottom lane, because we know for sure that there's that massive lead that Terizla has in the first level, because you have a lot of damage already with your first skill. You already have 3 swings over the Fredrin, and the Fredrin cannot taunt at that point. Maybe you can go and land the knockup, but apart from that, there's really no way for you to stop that combo.
They really know that Fredrin should be really part of the early rotations, as to why they also sped up the clearing of a minion wave, since it will be a lot difficult if the Fredrin or an XP laner will be out or be the first blood here for this game.
Yeah, and the genius of this is twofold. You help the Fredrin, and you put XP on your Kaja, which will help it do its job in the early game when you're taking turtles, and when you're making rotations, you're really going to put up the uptime for this Kaja, for the rest of your team, for Team Malaysia.
Man, speaking of, we're talking about Southeast Asian games. I have a core memory playing with Kajay, remember him, and Lusty, when they were still part of the Cebu national team. And I was actually playing Terizla back then. We were playing a rack game when they were about to be interviewed, and we were trying to buy some time, because it will take maybe an hour before the actual show started. And we played two fast games with Terizla when Terizla was still very, very good. And until nowadays, you cannot play Terizla that way. I think he's more of a setup and slash sustain kind of hero. But that execution strike, it still is the bread and butter of the hero, which is good. Supposedly the best hero against Fredrin now, but with the presence of the Kaja, it's already nullified.
Yep, you just burst it down.
Yep.
You nullify the body of Smith. You basically just, you want to be low? Okay, we'll take you low. Oops, too late, no more.
Yep.
Here's the damage for you. I remember you've mentioned Jay. I remember that time there was a meta we're in. It was a double fighter for both side lanes. So with that alone, it is safe to say that a lot has happened with MLBB metas, with the heroes, with the current tournament that we see, and maybe to switch things up again, we might see different heroes again for the next games that is being lined up here today.
Folks, we thank everybody for joining us and for taking the time out of their day to enjoy some good old MLBB action here for the women's division of this medal sport at the Sea Games. But we do want to make sure that our athletes get the best experience. So we would like to ask for a couple more minutes before we load back into the land of Dawn. Again, when you're out here flying out athletes from all over the world and having them compete under the same situation, you want to make sure that everybody gets a fair shake. Because again, some of these teams flown out with an hour or 2 time difference. So whether it be a technical or a physical or any kind of kinks that may affect the competition, we want to make sure that that's ironed out.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's just a best of one. You know, if there's gonna be a problem, maybe technical, it might be, something that the players might regret. So the best gaming experience should be offered. Of course, these are national athletes. And by the way, I see a lot of comments in our stream that they're asking for the games for our men's division. It's on May 12th.
Yep.
So for today and tomorrow, it is the women's division. So we have a best of 3 today. Wow. We started 11 a.m., right?
About, give or take.
Filipino time.
Noon, yeah.
That's GMT +8.
Yeah, so we would have crowned and given a gold medal already in the women's division before the men's division begins. So don't you worry, folks. It's going to happen soon. And it looks like Team Malaysia is ready. I've never seen a group of delegates so confident. Look at them. They're just Bole, I can hear him.
What I really notice is the pings on the lanyard.
Oh.
He's about 98% pins, 2% lanyard.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's heavy.
That's
Yeah,
heavy.
that's heavy.
That's definitely heavy. Big shout out to our boys from Malaysia. I think this is also the same uniform that they utilized in the 2021 Sea Games. Right?
Yeah. It's basically the same for them. Or if not, maybe they changed a few, only a few.
Only a
with
few
this one.
details, but
It's still rocking the tiger stripes. It's still the trademark Malaysian harimau.
is it? They call it the
Harimau?
Harimau?
I'm not so sure if I remember correctly Lafel's translation of it, but it might literally mean tiger or just in general beast, which is, the general Malaysian beast is a tiger.
Oh.
Okay, so we're back into the game. Again, it's just
Useless trivia again.
I mean,
Inaccurate even, I'm not so sure. But
but it's something that the viewers could actually look into. I mean, search for it just to confirm.
Verify, yes.
Yeah, food for your thought. But yeah, again, we go back to this game. This is just a best of one, and for our players, every step is really critical on how they will really end this game. I mean, this is the moment we're in. If you make a mistake, it could be the cause of their loss for this game.
yeah, speaking of mistake, that gold lane is fragile. Look at it. Both inspire, plant yourself into the ground, hope for the best type of marksman.
Yep. Just I think it's starting to be a classic now. I think that Moskov has found his way into the metagame just because of the fact that Melissa is very much viable. And also there's the threat of the Fanny all the time, which, by the way, wasn't really noticed.
It's a non-factor in
It's a
this game.
non-factor in this game, but we do know that the Moskov can be put into the metagame because of those two heroes.
Yeah, and you've mentioned the Fanny earlier. I believe there's a team as well for the women's division that use a Fanny, so we might see that. But again, here comes the Divine Judgment for Arya. Real World Manipulation has been casted, but we could see a penalty zone here for Cookies. But who's going to take the turtle? Dash in for Debo, Numino Blast. Oh, Numino Blast from behind. First blood coming in from Cookies, and the players of Malaysia will back away.
You can see the benefit of Malaysia's roamer, who did go to the XP lane as well as get the wave clear in the mid lane very quickly because of the field that you have as the Kaja. You quickly get into your zone where you get level 4, which then gave them the advantage of that Flicker ultimate to get the -1 and then eventually get the turtle. But Bumblebee didn't have his ultimate up yet, but he waited for the right moment to get his Nominal Blast. So even if it was kind of delayed to get the ultimate on the roamer, you still got the wonderful one Nominal Blast that related onto 4.
Not just Wolf, I'm not sure if you agree with me, but Debo, she didn't have enough mana. She could have started to puncture throughout all of Laos and clean up. I think that was a major part of that engagement, which gave Laos a bigger win because, Turtle went to Malaysia, but they couldn't capitalize.
Yeah, that's really true. And for Debo at that time, she's meant to have added damage with those dashes, so it's a big factor. But again, on the middle lane, that is going to be a play and a kill here for the side of Malaysia. This is what they want, those instant kills, those instant bursts.
Exactly. This is actually super duper interesting why Cookies was there, as they explained.
That is a nice heavy spin for Karawap. And Team Laos comes in for the counter initiation. Mas Fafao is forced to use that go away, and the players of Laos really went away.
Is that not deja vu? Is that not Malaysia getting a win? Malaysia doing something right, and then just a second later, Laos is like, nope, this is how you do it.
Well, great troubleshooting coming out from Laos. Surely they did have to sacrifice Cookies. And so now the question of why Cookies was there in the middle was answered so quickly by Laos. They wanted to make a belay up top. So they first show Cookies in the middle, then eventually identified that there are 3 heroes from Malaysia in that mid lane part of the map. Now they can go up top.
Ooh, speaking of flickers, when you see for Bunny, but again, for the side of Team Laos, they want to go to execute those errors, and it's gonna be a kill for them. Karawap secures that one. And it's not till final. Another kill for a Plateau, and for the side of Malaysia, Arya is forced to be down as well.
Laos has
Wow.
CC for days. I couldn't move in my chair. I couldn't stand up if I wanted to.
Man, Malaysia really, there was a lot of overheating that you saw from Bunny, but at the same time, you saw Laos with a pixel perfect usage of their ultimates. Karawap, I didn't know that you can actually land a pin down with that kind of angle wherein you're literally just maximizing all the pixels to take out that Freddy. And then the follow-up coming from Bumblebee, you saw that they are so good at this. And look at this, through the replay, the punishment of Karawap, look at that angle. So pixel perfect from the Akai. Look at that. Beautiful angle.
That sharp part of the
Exactly.
rock. Right.
I think that's the first time we saw that kind of
That is
play.
definitely the first time I saw it.
Oh, that's the Laos
Wow.
spin down.
That's a Karawap spin.
Karawap
That's right.
spin. So we call that a Karawap spin.
Yeah.
I mean spin.
catch.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
Karawap
like it.
catch. In our
Dude.
years of casting MLBB, you're right. I have
Exactly.
never seen anybody
Yeah.
catch somebody with a heavy spin on that angle. Even back then when you would call it the hurricane dance, never.
No, never.
Never.
What?
Karawap.
And if you look at the map at that moment, I think there's a space, but
Exactly.
there's no room for the player to like really move.
My God.
And right now we could see a Laos again, surprising everyone with those plays.
First game of the day for Karawap is already showing what he's got. What she's got.
She's a trap queen, man.
Trap queen. I like it.
She'll catch people at odd angles. Man, the more you learn. Oh, Lord. And they're using that to their advantage again. Laos now almost 2K gold ahead at 6 minutes in. Yeah, they're a turtle apiece, but if you're talking about ways to capitalize, Laos have taken tier 1 up top and now they're threatening this push down bottom.
Speaking of threat, there's going to be a play again for the side of Team Laos. Heavy spin has been used, but Arya is still alive. But nope, here comes the real-world manipulation. No players from Malaysia for the backup as Cookies will delay on penalty zone. Catches two. But again, for the side of Team Laos, they're ready for retreat. There's a damage from this Fredrine, but double kill already for Cookies.
Unbelievable Cookies. She almost only landed one good penalty zone, but she transformed it into two-man catch in the penalty zone. I am in disbelief now. And he landed the execution strike.
Yep.
So that they can finish up the kill onto Bunny. Bunny, by the way, almost took out Karawap, but my God, you can see the playstyle from the Laos is just all about just chaining their stuns perfectly.
It's scary. The way Laos is playing, it's like that Akai is actually a Mardis. We've seen
That's right.
Mardis jungles play
That's
this
right.
way, and then just chain them up more than just the CCs. The kills!
Whoop. Oh, speaking of the play again from the side of Team Laos, another heavy spin, real-world manipulation. But again, the turtle will go to the side of Team Malaysia. Here comes the Numinum Blast. The synchronization of skills of Team Laos is really on point. The next target is going to be Depot, but disengage for all of our players.
Interesting decision from Laos to actually forgo the turtle for them to get the kill. They almost got 2 kills because of Cookies again landing the ultimate onto Honey. And look at Karawap.
Oh no.
Karawap is just really in front
Yeah.
of everyone, just zoning out the players of Team Malaysia.
That's the trap queen for you. Again, it's so scary. And here's what's scarier. It's Karawap and Bumblebee who are not afraid. As soon as they see that green dot, they're going to click it.
Yeah, every time. I mean,
Every time.
Karawap really fits the heavy spin. It's as if she's casting it from afar, but knows that she will be able to reach the specific player that she wants to zone out.
Wall plus opponent equals wild charge. Oh.
And in the middle lane, Cookies is the treat as penalty zone has been used. Here comes the backup.
Oh, there she is.
Another heavy
again.
spin for the Trap Queen, plus Aluminum Blast coming in
God.
from the side of Team Laos. Bunny is there. Arya still alive, but a secured kill. Nope. Still alive
Noose
though.
there. Noose
Still
there.
alive.
No.
Free hits from the side, and Arya is alive.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Okay.
What is this Kaja built on? I mean, they do get a kill on the fires eventually, but Arya runs away.
Yeah, but wait, speaking of running away, I think the players of Team Laos are running away because of the damage. We could see now the damage of Fafal, by the way, for Malaysia.
Yeah, kind of, I think that they really wanted to give the kill to New. And I could have sworn that there's access to Crystal Nova that they didn't use
Yeah,
before then.
because
They
it-
had so much.
Like Crystal Nova or Void, whichever.
Yeah, she was kind of relying on the normal attacks. Unfortunately, will not be enough. Nevertheless, they still got a kill. And by the way, another corner tip of the wall play from Katawap, the Trap Queen.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's scary.
Very scary. The angles are so what's the term? I can't impeccable. I'd say.
Impeccable.
They're exquisite.
Exquisite.
You
I
could
like
have
it.
sworn she was putting
Yeah, I
up
know.
a T-square and a compass up to her
know.
phone.
I mean, this is the first game for Karawap, but we already have a moniker for her.
Whoa!
But yeah, here comes the penalty zone for Cookies. Federation has been used, but has been cancelled by the Trap Queen. And sustaining the damage of the go away, Karawap is already low on life. But Cookies is trying to zone out the players of Team Malaysia. But it's going to be a shutdown here for Hani.
That's tough.
That's very tough.
Their core heroes, Platu,
Yeah.
and I'd say Cookies as well, were placed in the wrong spot.
Yes, I
That's
agree.
the problem with these marksmen that you have to plant into the ground and commit for.
And there was also that usage of the real-world manipulation, which you would the first initial engagement was good, but the thing is, Katawap utilized the heavy spin to put the players of Malaysia outside of the box, but not because it is her fault. It's just that Malaysia have positioned themselves in a good spot where after the heavy spin, they will be out of that box. We are going to see it again. Great usage of the Teresa penalty zone, but look at them go.
Oh, yeah.
After the real-world manipulation, they already know where they wanted to fight. And Debo, big props to her for actually getting the right angle to take out Plateau, even under duress of that real-world manipulation.
And now all the more Platu has to choose her spots. She has to understand that, okay, I have to make sure that Karawap and Nu and I are in sync so that my Inspire and just spray is put to good use.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we can see right now for Bunny, zoning out players of Team Laos. Plato is already low on life. That was close. But for Malaysia, they are able to destroy a turret here in the top lane. And nice minion wave management, by the way, for Team Malaysia.
Yep. We did clear out top. Fortunately for Laos, they do have the turrets, which is a very, very fast clear jungle. Oh, sorry, minion clear kind of hero. Well, onto the bottom lane, Debo already making the plays. This is really what Malaysia has been doing so well. The way that they are managing all of the minion waves, as well as the fact that they're giving a lot of farm and EXP to Debo, who is now at level 15. When it comes to the overall player goal, Debo also has got the top, as she was able to take out the members of Laos in that previous team fight and then also farm out so much of the map.
Yep, Debo's making bank, and the fact that she's so hyperactive across the jungle camps and even the lanes allows for Malaysia to, I don't know, very silently put a lot of farm on Fafao. Fafao, we really haven't felt much of her in the past, what, 6-7 minutes?
Yep.
She's a ticking time bomb. It's just a matter of time before, like, oh, wait, no, there was a Melissa here. Oops. Right?
Yeah.
It's a matter of time.
And it's deadly actually for Team Laos because when we say Melissa and the lineup is Akai, Lolita, and Teresa, these are melee heroes. And these are the heroes that Melissa actually wants to counter out in terms of shredding the HP bars of these heroes. But we can see Plato actually building that wind of nature. Maybe for her, it's not advisable to really show first her position because she's really exposed on the map.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Now, Malaysia, they still have the lead. Laos, because of the overload that we can expect from them with their teamfight tools, like the real-world manipulation after heavy spin, penalty zone, as well as that Numinum Blast. All these together is a lot of explosions that you know that will be effective for their team when it comes to teamfight, no matter what kind of farm they have. So even when they are banned by 2K, you have to be careful if you're Team Malaysia, because if you chain your stuns as Laos, there's so much kill potential that they have. Granted, of course, they land their ultimates perfectly.
Yep, so now Laos have to find a way to get back into the driver's seat. I think it's safe to say that since the map is blue, Malaysia is in control here. Their waves are much stronger. They have a lord to their name.
Yeah.
But look at this. It's Arya and Bunny forcing the issue. Look, they're just checking.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just really zoning out the players of Team Laos. And I believe for Team Laos here, I mean, they don't really want to use those skills as early as possible. But here comes
Bunny.
that conceal play. Bunny is in the middle, forces to use that flicker. Numina Blast from Bumblebee, but the Lord helps Malaysia to counter that play.
Lord.
As Arya will take a kill, and the players of Team Laos, only player left is gonna be NU, and the Lord is on their hands as well. Wow.
Man, Malaysia, at least the Lord of the Land of Dawn is on their side. You saw that wonderful Numina Blast already lining up for so many members of Malaysia, but then stopped by the knockup coming up from the Lord. And look at the damage.
The burn is there. And Malaysia knocking on the base of Team Laos, coming in for the tower lock base as they will take their first win for Group B.
Man, that would have been really something that Laos could have taken. I'm pretty sure that they will have the great angles for all their ultimates up to be up. Heavy spin started off, what could have been the greatest team fight for Laos, but then again the Lord stopped it. And big props to Bunny for actually stopping that conceal play.
Yep.
And then of course Plat2, Debo, to take out Plat2 in the right moment, then take the Lord all together. I think she really, Debo is someone that you should be looking at now for the good Southeast Asian Games.
Yeah, also it's a misfortune for Team Laos on that game. The Lord actually helped to cancel out
Yeah,
the Numina
exactly,
Blast during
yeah.
that time.
Yeah. So I think there was a moment in the game, I'd say the early first 4 or 5 minutes, where in Wolf you may have foreshadowed the fact that Laos might be burning out. They may be overcommitting and they may be engaging, yes, in spectacular fashion, but it may be a short-term investment because suddenly, right? I can't remember specifically the timestamp, but what they went into a losing trade, and then Bob's your uncle. From there on, nothing else was left on the map for Team Laos.
Yeah, I think you were leading by what, 2,000 gold
Yep.
till the point where there was a Lord team fight, which we can assume around the 9 to 10 minute mark about what happened. And I think that although Laos made the right calls, it's just that there are some team fights that they did not chain their ultimate so well.
And at the same time, I believe we really have to commend the Lancelot of Team Malaysia.
I agree.
Because there were moments wherein if she's not needed on a team fight, she goes in for the turret pushes.
That's Debo.
And it is
Debo.
a nice call for Team Malaysia because it's as if you're forcing Team Laos to really defend on the side lanes instead of them again going for those team fights, which is their strength actually with the typo lineup.
And because of that, again, we mentioned this during the game, because of that, Fafao became this quiet, a sleeping
agree.
dragon.
I
She
agree.
became a sleeping dragon. It's like, all right, no one, Debo is much of a threat. We're putting pressure on Arya and Bunny, and then no one's thinking about Fafao. And then too late, big team fights come in. The Melissa's left to run roughshod.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, especially with that last team fight. It wasn't even a team fight. Last pickup that they did when they landed the Feathered Airstrike, only 1 blast or 2 blasts were needed from the Feathered Airstrike. It was already able to take out Eve. And of course, with I think it went for the Glowing Wand. The ticks coming out from damage over time was enough to take out the Eve.
Yeah, Lu just died in her own base.
Yeah.
It's difficult. So yeah, no. At least we now know that Laos likes to play this way. They want to play hard. They want to play fast. But here comes the veterancy, the more
agree.
developed tendencies, or the more mature and how do I say, more weathered Team Malaysia.
Yeah.
They understand that, oh, you can start that way, but you better be sure that when we punish you, you're ready.
You know why I agree with you on what you just said? It's because of the positioning that you saw from the important core members of Malaysia. For example, Bunny's positioning before that last team fight the Lord happened. It was perfect. She was unseen. She was untagged. And the way that she managed her own, just because the fact that she heard or saw that conceal play, went back out so quickly, but still landed a nice knockup from important heroes, like for example onto the Akai. So I think that she was a very important factor, a very important cog in the wheel of Team Malaysia. And you only achieve that kind of play if you're weathered, if you are experienced.
If you've seen it enough times,
Exactly.
if you've played enough games at this level, and I think that's where Team Laos might actually be lacking.
Yep.
as amazing as the Trap Queen was, Katawap, that only really does so much.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Wolf, talk to us, break down this best of one.
All right, we can see that Malaysia just hang on. I mean, you can see that there were a lot of deaths onto Bunny, the Fredrin, 0, 4, and 5, but she still made the right play in the last moment. So it didn't matter whether or not Malaysia had a lot of deaths on their important heroes. What matters is if they're doing the things that are required of them in important team fights. There's also important item pickups coming out from Malaysia. For example, this blade armor was picked up by Bunny. Eventually, it made it difficult for the Moskov to actually hit on her, because the thing is, as the Fredrin, you kind of give extra access to the backlines if you're fronting for your team, and that should not be the case when you're playing against the Moscow. But with this blade armor, it was more than enough for them to last the team fight. And also the radiant armor pickups from both ends, in fact, like from Laos as well as from Malaysia, but most particularly from the Kaja that you saw earlier on, which was untouched by the magic damage output of Team Laos. And you can see that Laos, the Eve or Nu, did not go for something like a brute force breastplate, which we kind of prescribed before the game started. And even when it was very strong when it comes to the damage output of the Eve in the early stages, it backfired heavily, because you saw how easily it was for Honey, this Farsa, to take out Nu so easily in that game. And then of course Fafao just providing so much damage in this game. So far when it comes to being the carry, it was actually the Melissa quietly able to output the damage that Malaysia needed in the late game team fights. But then again, Team Laos, look at that, Katawap, the Trap Queen that we were talking about, the Monica already in the first game, because of how good she was with commanding the team with her heavy spin, which was so amazing to see. She did not only did it once, she actually did it twice, which, you know, was very amazing to see. But then again, it wasn't enough. Laos, they can overload their opponents with all of the teamfight tools that they have, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough against Malaysia, who only managed to win the team fights because of the positioning and of course the knowledge that they have through Bunny's positioning and Fafao's positioning as well. Going in for the triple attack save items with the casual leg blades and then the Wind of Nature to stop all of the physical damage that can come from Team Laos. But then again, the positioning is the most important factor on why Malaysia was eventually able to win this game. We can see that through the highlights, of course. Let's look at the first few team fights where Laos was actually winning. They all started with the Kaja ultimate, getting the level 4, but Bumblebee strikes back, Foreman Numinum Blast, resulting into 1 kill. Then eventually, this trade-off that we are going to see. They have sacrificed Cookies in the mid lane, but they have 3 men up top to get a massive kill onto important members of Team Malaysia. They got 2 eventually after this, and they gave Katawap a lot of farm. Then they will transfer to the bottom lane, where they will be able to take out the Kaja. And look at Cookies, just lining up 2 members, Bunny as well as Arya, with that penalty zone, landing onto 2, converting into 2 kills for the entirety of Team Laos to have. Katawap had to back down, and in comes the First Lord fight, where we are going to see the penalty zone landing onto 2. Feathered Airstrike actually threatening for so many kills. But then again, the heavy spin in combination with the box of the real-world manipulation unfortunately didn't go in the favor of Team Laos, and you can see that Malaysia can isolate the members of Laos easily. The Numinum Blast cancelled by the knockup coming out from the Lord, and afterwards, all of the damage output of Team Laos is thrown down the drain, especially because Nu couldn't find a good positioning for herself. Oh, it wasn't 2 blasts from Feather Airstrike. Only 1 was it took, and it was already taken out. And this is because of her decision to forego the Brute Force Breastplate instead.
And that's where we'll see, now again, the difference in wisdom, difference in experience actually win you or lose you a game. And you could say that throughout the different parts of the game. We saw some of the highlights that happened in the early, to the mid, to the late. And now, this opens up, or at least allows for us to understand Group B a little more.
Yeah.
If this is how Malaysia plays, and this is how Laos plays, where does Vietnam come into this dynamic?
Hard to say, but then again, Vietnam as a region, they have been participating in many international women's tournaments anyways, so maybe we can, I would say there's more expectation towards Vietnam than it is with Laos. Of course, Laos already exceeded our expectations, right? But then again, you are at a point where you cannot lose anymore if you're Team Laos. I mean, literally, you cannot lose, because if you go 0-2 in a group, you automatically cannot come to the playoffs.
Now for Team Laos, I believe one problem that they could really fix for the next game is how they will really end a game, because that was the problem earlier.
Yep, they'll be facing off against Team Vietnam in just a bit. So hopefully you guys can stay for that. We'll see what Team Vietnam brings to the table. And if Team Laos can actually bounce back, they need to reset. All right? Hopefully they do, because I can't wait to see who else ends up with a new nickname. Because Karawap was...
Yeah.
and I hope she gets to pick up the Akai again.
Yeah. She's so good at it. I think that... like I said, they exceeded expectations, and we want to see more for sure.
And I do believe that is it for us here for the desk. We'll be going on a quick break.
They're here making another statement. They deserve this celebration. 3G Warblade North America has come.
Welcome to Mobile Legends.
Starting off 2023 with a huge bang. The M4 World Championship by Mobile Legends Bang Bang Esports achieved one of the highest peak concurrent viewerships of 4.2 millions, setting the tone for the year. And with the MPL seasons and official tournaments going underway in their respective regions, we know that fans across the globe wanted more. Taking place in Phnom Penh, the vibrant capital city of lovely Cambodia, for the first time in MSC history, this year's cup will include non-sea representatives. And why do this and include international teams? The objective is simple: to improve MLBB esports level and ecosystem, evolving an established regional brand into an international championship, one without borders. MSC 2023 is a testament to the increasing demand and support from fans across the world. #SeeTheWorld. We will work hard to elevate the tournament level and increase our esport competitiveness. With that, do look forward to witnessing world-class MLBB esports in Phnom Penh this June. See you there, and see the world.
Every day, I have this reoccurring dream. A dream that has repeated countless times. A dream about destiny.
What's on your mind?
Mother, why must we build the Star Atlas?
We've been mapping the stars to reclaim our destiny.
Our destiny?
If we can unlock the secrets, we can break the shackles of destiny. Happy 16th birthday!
Mother?
Ooh, star glimmers! Even in darkness, they shine. The Atlas!
What's happening? It's pulling everything into it! Naharia! Mother! Hold on! Don't let it go! Break the shackles!
You are tuned in to the official English broadcast of the 32nd Sea Games. We're covering the MLBB tournament for the women's division here at your service. My name is Leo, Chantel, and Wolf. We just witnessed our first Group B matchup in Team Malaysia versus Team Laos. Now we're going into Team Laos and Team Vietnam. We already have a clear image of what Team Laos might be bringing to the table, but Team Vietnam, though, still relative enigma.
Yep. It's a clear image that I would like to see almost as many times as I could, right? Especially in how impressive the playstyle is coming out from Team Laos, because it's not just an actual like standard gameplay of Mobile Legends. It's actually a very electrifying kind of gameplay. So that is what I would like to see more, and I wouldn't mind to see Laos in the playoffs because of that kind of performance.
Yeah, actually for the Team Laos today, again with the performance earlier, there is a breakthrough performance with that type of play. But with our schedule today, again, we've mentioned that this is going to be a long game, so it is a test of a mental fortitude for our players, and we are now at our match 5. So we still have our semifinals, and Indonesia and Philippines is waiting for that. So it is Group A, the top 1 of Group A versus the top 2 of Group B.
Correct.
So you already know that. So it's a mix and match, and again, it's a battle of strategies. And if we look at the groups, actually, we've mentioned this earlier, that the powerhouse in terms of women's MLBB is Indonesia and the Philippines. So for Group B, this might be the discovery pool of players and teams that could really bring in a different flavor of MLBB.
Yep, in the Wild West, that is Group B. In C, Malaysia is the most experienced, right? Malaysia is the one with the best track record when it comes to competitive Mobile Legends Bang Bang in the esports realm. But now, as you can see, it's Laos here with 0 points on the board. They're about to face off against Vietnam, this being Vietnam's first best of 1 in Group B, which is short to say do or die. This is do or die for Laos. As much as we'd like to see more of their electrifying, more of their explosive and high velocity gameplay, they have to rein it in here. They have to treat this as if, and I think quite literally, this could be their last.
Yep.
And, you know, the fact that they will be, I mean, the highest that they can go, I mean, no matter what happens, even if they qualify to the playoffs, they will be facing up against Indonesia, no matter what happens now, just because of the fact that there is already a loss in this team. Unless, of course, there will be a tiebreaker, which I think will not be played as a best of 1 or anything. It will be dependent on head-to-head.
Yeah, that is true. And again, with this matchup, I feel like for Team Laos, they started the game earlier with an exclamation point. This time around, we need to see that period. We need to see that.
Oh, like it.
Yeah, I mean, they really have to end that game. Earlier, we said that there might be a miscalculation with how they really wanted to end the game. So we saw that they weren't really able to counter out the Melissa of the other team. So now that they're up against a team that has better experience in terms of international tournaments, they might want to go for that fast game, early end of the game. But it was a really nice performance, definitely, for this team.
Yep, here they are, Team Laos. Nice to see them, still all smiles, and something definitely happened backstage. And good to see them back in good spirits.
Yeah. The only thing that I want them to change, apart from the fact that they should be knowing how to end the game, as Chantal said, is the fact that they should be looking at their items even more. Like, for particularly on Eve, it's funny because we were just talking about the fact that Eves are now built in a tankier manner, but then she didn't go for that kind of play. We went for Glowing Wand and Ice Queen Wand, and then there was another. I think there was another damage item that she went for. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that there wasn't any Brute Force Breastplate, which would have been perfect so that she can stay a little bit longer in team fights. And the fact that you can kind of delay your usage of the ultimate just because you're tanking through, then there's outplay potential for that kind of hero. I'm sure that I've said a lot of important details on the gameplay. All I'm trying to say here is that if you want to be part of the playoffs, you have to also think about your items.
Yep, gotta get down those fundamentals as they face off against Team Vietnam here. Mie, Kuromi, Tuma, Miku, Daisy, and Ngokbai wondering what the main five is going to look like for Team Vietnam here as they make their debut in the 32nd Sea Games for women's MLBB. Now you see them exchange fist bumps, again a sign of sportsmanship as they make their way towards their phones, towards their stations.
Yep.
Draft should be upon us in just a wee bit. This allows for us to actually nitpick more. Again, going back, right, in hindsight, if you're going to be a team that likes to cause chaos and play around fast and, how do I say, chaotic team fights, I don't think it's the best bet to do that against Malaysia. That's what MPL Malaysia is built on.
You're right. You're actually right. And even when it's the MPL Malaysia, where only the men's division is, having a lot of experience, a lot of reps when it comes to playing, I do believe that that can be translated to their women's division as well, because that is the nature of the competition in that region. And I couldn't agree more. There's a lot of chaos in that region. And like I said, it was very surprising that they picked up a standard kind of lineup, but they played it in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, the way they really play is surprising for everyone, especially for the other countries, because it's not the usual MLBB that we see.
Yep.
So when you put a chaotic type of strategy in something as if a play style wherein it has been predominant even before is really surprising for everyone. So maybe it could be a factor here for our women players. Again, as much as possible, you want to surprise everyone. If it is something that could be considered as a cheese strategy, why not use it? Again, this is a best of one, and you want to be part of that playoffs. You want to go in for the semifinals as much as possible.
Yep, and now it is confirmed that Team Laos will be the first pick. So do note that in their debut match, the best of one prior to this one, they were on red. So now we'll see how they'll try to build up that fast and chaotic lineup as the blue side.
Yep.
I believe for Team Vietnam, it is advisable. I mean, it is expected for them to really ban out the Akai. We saw the performance earlier. Again, it was the first game for Team Laos, but we already had a moniker for Kawan because the perfect performance, almost perfect performance rather, with that Akai pick earlier.
Yeah, and you remember that this was actually a first phase picked Akai, so it's slot number 1 if you're on the red side, right? So it was definitely a priority for Laos, and Laos, and they didn't disappoint. I mean, it came to a point where we gave a moniker for her. So I think that it's true. Akai should be one of the priorities as a ban, at least a contention for the side of Team Vietnam, especially in this meta game where the DK is banned out. So you don't really have an actual hard answer for that kind of hero. I will not be surprised if this will be a third banned Akai with 1-1 as the second or the first ban.
Yeah, no one can save you once the Trap Queen finds you. She
will
like
I love it.
There is a non-zero chance that she will let you go as much as she can. Again, very few times we've actually been wowed, and we've been shown something new with a hero that has been in the rotation since what, about 5 years now.
Exactly.
Right?
She's a Trap Queen for a reason, right?
The Trap Queen.
And speaking of Akai, I mean, I have this feeling. I mean, personally, I really want to see Fanny for the women's teams, right? I mean, there was a tournament, I believe that's MWI, that there was a Fanny pick.
Yeah, there was.
There was. So maybe we could see that on this game. But yeah, we're all here for the treat from our female players. So what better way to celebrate, of course, the strength of our female players here on the 32nd Sea Games.
Well, starts with the draft, because we know that something like an Akai might be the priority for Laos. So can we assume that the Fanny might not be from their side, unless of course the Trap Queen herself have something else up on the table?
As a Fanny, that's not impossible.
That's not impossible, right?
Something to note between these two teams now, about to head into this best of one. They're both from the Mekong region.
Okay.
And the last big team that actually represented the Mekong region for the past couple of years would be IDNS from Thailand.
Yeah.
And they saw a lot of success rock in a lineup that is very reminiscent of the what we would call the 1-3-1. That would play fighters side lanes and that also you can describe as high velocity, very explosive gameplay style. In game 1 against Malaysia, Laos showed us that. I'm wondering if Vietnam's going to be the same. If Vietnam is also just as aggressive.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have enough data on Vietnam, although we know that they destroyed the competition during the qualifiers because they went 3-0. I think that they were undefeated the entirety of the qualifier from Vietnam, representing MDH Esports or MDH female. Then equally, their MDH male squad also were undefeated in the Vietnam region. So we do know for sure that this is the cream of the crop, at least from Vietnam's perspective, dominating that scene. But when it comes to like the heroes that they pick up, we don't have much data on that. And especially because the qualifiers started in January. So there's a lot of like differences already. So it has been a long time. This will be we can say that this will be the first time that we are going to see Vietnam as region perform.
Yeah, actually, for you've mentioned January, a lot has happened.
Exactly.
After January with the patches that we had for the game. So definitely in terms of the hero pickings, it should be different. Possibly even for our teams, there's a specific type of hero composition that they want to use up against a specific team. Again, with the current situation or the progression of MLBB meta, it is safe to say that if you're up against this team, you want this more unsustained type of lineup. If you're up against this other team, you want to go for the fast play. So with that, Laos and Vietnam, specifically for Vietnam, since they already have this information against Team Laos, they might go for the same route that the other team used earlier against Laos, more on the late game that has tanky sides.
Okay, so you're saying maybe if Team Vietnam approaches this the way Team Malaysia did, they can come out with a W? I'd say that's risky. Team Malaysia plays the way Team Malaysia does because of where they come from. It's cultivated by the nature of chaos, right? So you welcome that kind of energy. If you're Vietnam and you're not used to it, it might cause you to lose. So again, if you're ready to play fast, I'd say just play fast. Just again, protect yourself from the Akai. I think that'll be my most sage advice here for Vietnam. But who am I to say? I'm just a dude in a room about 1,000 miles away just shouting at him. Shouting at young women playing on their phones. That's the truth of the matter.
Wow.
Here we go. Let's get into the draft. Still no Akai out here. Might be saving it for that last spot as Laos takes out the Joy and the Valentina, while Vietnam takes out the Arlet.
Oh, okay. So this probably is one of the... Yeah, this was common, at least when it comes to the Joy as well as the Valentina ban from the previous game that we saw from the previous best of one. Arlet, of course, when you ban out the Joy from the blue side, you might as well ban out the Arlet from the opposing end because you don't want to have that... you don't want your Joy or at least your Arlet to have a free reign in the XP lane. That's why you always ban out one or the other. Interestingly, the Faramis was actually ignored in the previous game. Right? So, might be a glue priority from any of these teams.
Yeah, possibly for Vietnam, since you've mentioned glue, it is a nice ban for the team. But for what I really want to say for the pickings and bannings for our women's teams is that they really ban out Valentina. It's not the usual banning that we see from the other tournaments, probably because there is a lot of option on using the IMU in terms of the hero picks, possibly for our players. And I really like that Team Laos is banning out Martis. Again, with the Martis, with the Mortal Coil, it's as if you're telling the other team that, okay, cancel my skill, just use the Mortal Coil as any time you want. So for this time, for Vietnam, it could be 1-1 as their ban. No, 1-1 is open actually. First time.
Cover it up. Yes. Will Laos bite the bullet? Are they going to pick it up? Gonna give it to Plateau?
Don't be shy.
Oh.
Okay. Maybe...
Plateau saying 1-1.
Don't be shy.
Coach, give me the 1-1.
Yeah. There's really like what will be the reason for you not to pick it up? Maybe mastery is number one. Like if you
Possibly.
don't, if you're not that confident about it. At the same time, though, it's 1-1. I think that it's almost automatic. But Nu is gonna get her comfort pick.
No!
So,
Nu!
I mean, it's a big no, actually, personally, because
I agree.
with the Eve pick of Team Laos, you're opening up 1-1 in Kaja
That's
for
right.
right.
Vietnam.
But instead, it's Melissa.
They both don't care.
Okay, we don't care about 1-1. It is a best of one.
Yeah.
So there's no option for you to have 1-1, you know?
You're right.
It is a best of one. No 1-1.
You're absolutely
No
right there,
1-1.
Shandel.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But then again, who
God.
are we? Who are we? Non-Mekong residents.
Exactly.
So, again, they might be playing on a different different axis here. Let's see.
It's all about the comfort
Hey,
picks
Kaja's
when it
still
comes to
open.
best of one, and it's Nu picking up the Eve. I just want to say that if they want to win this, they should be itemizing more properly,
Yes.
I'd say.
Yes.
Expect the brute force breastplate this time. 1-1 is still open, and then maybe you get something like an early Gronk.
At this
there now.
point,
But I
something
think it's
tells
a
me
Kai.
you should
Oh,
even
let's-
consider picking up the carry because there's a Fredrin.
Oh, yeah. If you really want to
Yeah.
go for the late game, you
Or
know,
just win with a 1-1. I don't know.
I mean, let's go back to the 1-1. I mean, carry's an option, but it's 1-1, right?
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not yet 1. Okay, so let's scrap the idea
No
of the
more.
1-1. Let's imagine it as if 1-1's not really part of the hero pool.
She's hanging out with Diggy.
Yeah,
Hey,
she's
but
hanging out.
hey, we are in for a treat, right? Good pick up with the Farsa, but what I'm trying to say here is that the Trap Queen is now playing a different hero.
Oh, you're
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
So we might be overly impressed by that Akai. What can we say about Alonso? Maybe maybe
Maybe.
she can bring something else to the table.
It's not impossible that her Lancelot might just be maybe even more impressive than
Exactly,
her Because again, it
exactly.
was open and they said no.
No, yeah. I like it.
But just the same.
Just to say.
They may have been once been twice shy because remember Wolf when they were using the heavy spin and then they spin them out of the real world manipulation.
Yeah.
So that could be it. That's
could
a
be.
possible
Yeah.
side effect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true for Team
Well,
Laos.
she trapped the members anyways, but it's outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
She the Trap King for
for a reason.
Yeah.
But sometimes it could be a disadvantage for them. So
Unfortunately.
we will see right now for Team Vietnam. It's gonna be a Moscow ban here. We saw them, Team Laos, pick Moscow earlier for their game against Malaysia, which is a nice ban actually for Team Vietnam. But Leo mentioned about Carry earlier, and with this hero, or with this hero composition rather for Team Laos, it is a good option for them with
Yeah.
Carry since they also have the Eve.
Yeah.
Although Team Vietnam has the Farsa, it's a bit difficult to like really expose yourself.
Yeah.
If Farsa hasn't used the Feather Airstrike
Yeah.
as early as possible.
Man, I could swear
Bind.
right now that the 1-1 might even be like totally
last.
ignored. Look at this.
Or
Instead of banning out the 1-1, they ban out the carry and the Moskov. Two heroes which will be perfect against their compositions anyways, so you'll understand why. But with all of the openness that you give to the 1-1, it kind of feels like it's a trap. So there's the Terizla. 1-1 is open, but maybe you could think somewhere along the lines of a Beatrix instead so that you'll have better range, right?
yes, actually with the Terisla being picked here by Vietnam.
As it's a Claude.
Oh, it's
No
gonna
1-1.
be a Claude.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
This is uncanny. I didn't expect to
Oh!
get this
Oh!
far.
Oh!
Talk about uncanny.
The Vietnamese Minotaur.
All right.
Okay.
And
We're
they're
in for
happy.
show.
And they're happy. Look at them. Look at them go. They're so happy and excited
Yeah.
about this.
I'm happy.
Yep.
It's as
I
if
miss Minotaur.
Yeah, it's as if their morale has been really boosted 100%
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the Minotaur pick. It is an unorthodox pick for Team Vietnam, but why not? Like we've mentioned that you bring in chaos and chaos, and you are really one chaotic team.
When was the last time we saw a Minotaur on an international stage?
I can't remember.
I can't even remember anymore.
I remember Malaysia in what last year. It took us last year. Oh hey, what's up? All right, so we're for Team Laos, but I don't know, man.
With the
That
Minotaur?
Minotaur?
Can we still change it?
Yeah, can I?
we love different types of heroes.
I like spicy,
surprising
man. I like
heroes.
spicy.
Yeah.
Oh man, in before somebody from the crowd, from the comment section, will bring up the fact that whoever that commenter will be already brought up the fact that Minotaur and Atlas should be top priority because of the lack of Diggy that's available, right? So we'll see. Rome Minotaur, however, a thing of the past, I would say.
Yep. And when we say Minotaur, I think the last time we saw them locally, it was for Onyx Philippines as a jungler.
Jungler, correct.
Yeah.
Not as not as
Yeah.
not as effective. We could have sworn it was gonna catch, but
Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, okay. So confirmed it's in the roam, right?
Yep.
There's hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
All right.
Okay,
They're
okay.
shouting at
For
us.
sure, it's in the roam. I'm not sure what Team Laos was rocking. Did they rock any purifies?
Oh,
I did not see
wait.
it.
We could check that.
Yeah, that could have skewed the way that they choose their battle
Right,
spells.
right,
If they
right.
don't respect the potential of the Minotaur, this could be mad as well.
Yep.
Vietnam's game.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, a 5-man Minoan Sphere, why not? It's possible with the hair composition as well of Team
Yeah.
Laos.
Now that I see it, there's a lot of heroes from the side of Team Laos that kind of don't want to be knocked up, particularly the Claude, right? So there's a lot of sources of knockups from the Minoan's Fury, which immediately cancels out the Blazing Duet. Then, you know what they say about Eve, right? Eve, although she's immune to the crowd control because you kind of need the suppression to kind of cancel it. When you're stunned under the real world manipulation, you don't stop the real world manipulation,
But
you stop using spells.
you can't swipe away.
You can't swipe, you can tap.
And sometimes that's all you need.
Exactly. That's why the Kadira is perfect for that kind of hero because knock-up coming out from the Oceanality is that's very long. And of course, Mino Fury. Right?
Speaking of Minoan's Fury, Leo asked earlier if Laos actually went in for the Purify spell for a majority of their players. So, looking at the side of Laos, we have two players actually with the Purify spell. That is Nu and Plato. So, more on the damage heroes
The
here.
core heroes.
Yeah, core heroes here for the side of
Alright.
Team Laos. So, there is the respect. And it is something that I believe Laos isn't really expecting during the draft because for a Claw to be forced and even Eve to go for a Purify spell, I mean, it is expected for them to go for Claude. It's either Flicker or even Sprint.
That's interesting.
Yep.
Suddenly, right? Suddenly, with just that swing, with the pickup of the Minotaur, I'd say Team Laos was compromised. Suddenly, you could be a little more aggressive with the flicker, and then nope, you gotta purify now. Interesting. Wow, how poetic that in this very arena, there is a prolific personality that once played a Minotaur in one of the biggest stages of them all. I'm talking about Pro Esports, MPL, KH, Coach Zico.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's here.
He's literally in there, like I'd say closer to the left of the stage there.
Yeah, I mean, Zico has always been dubbed as the Minotaur person, or you know,
The Minoan warrior. I'm not sure. Anyway.
Minotaur deity.
Minotaur
deity.
deity.
Yeah.
It's been a while since he's actually played, but no, in his heyday as a player, I'd say in the summer of 2019,
Yeah.
no one comes close.
And during that time, he was like the epitome of being the Minotaur god.
Yep.
Am I
Minoan
right-
god. I was about to say Minoan god.
Am I right to say that Zico has a 100% chance to go to an international event? The one season he played,
Yeah.
he got to the
M1.
M1.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's
And then
true.
the first season he spent in MPLKH, he took him to M4.
Yeah, that's true.
So
100%. Wow.
Missed out for MSC this
Yeah,
time
for
around, but NT coach, but you know what I mean.
NT. Yeah, I know what we mean. But my oh my, yeah, you're right. I mean, the Minotaur, the Minotaur god, I'd say, of his time.
All objectivity and just logic out the door. I want to see this Minotaur work. Like I don't.
I agree.
You can take away the flags, and on a personal level, I just really hope Minotaur makes an impact.
Yeah, because if Minotaur makes an impact on this game, we might see Minotaur on other tournaments.
Yeah,
I mean, MSC is not quite far from
far out,
this.
yeah.
Especially in the metagame where you kind of give EXP to the roamers in the first 2 minutes of the game, right? Because there's a
Yeah.
rotation nowadays that
That's
allows
right.
for the mid lane switch, which you can put your Minotaur in the mid lane to get level 4.
Yep.
And maybe this is where we can expect that to happen.
I'm not sure this gentleman knows that there is a line of text
Yeah.
covering
Yeah.
the supposedly funny image he's trying to flash up, but
Someone
Okay.
told him already.
helping him out. There you go. Nice.
Is now aware.
Alright.
Got a lot of fun on our venue.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, that's one of his friends asleep.
Yeah. Ooh.
Okay. Wow. The cardboards.
That's effort.
That's effort. I also see like this is not a typical like cut, you know?
Yeah, no. Someone might even say that might be Sintra.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's Sintra. Yeah, with the quality.
Really thick. Hey, look. These are not Cambodians. These are people from Laos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
support.
Yeah.
If we had the opportunity, I would also fly to Cambodia.
I wonder where our boys are at. I mean,
What are they doing?
What are they doing? Like
Maybe they're preparing for another dance step.
Mr. Francis.
They
Mr.
have,
Francis,
they-
I mean the legend,
They have a match in a bit.
Yep.
and even Manjin,
Mr. Faldas, yeah.
Mr.
Correct.
Faldas, I mean,
Mr. Cantero, Mr. Faldas,
and
Mr.
Galleria.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
Laotians.
Where are they? Oh,
Yeah.
there's the Minotaur.
I mean,
There he is!
The
I mean,
Minotaur
the one
boy.
that uses Minotaur.
That's right, to the right. Again,
You
Yeah.
said there's the Minotaur.
the reason
Yeah,
why
the
he
I was
looks,
looking for Minotaur on
the
the
reason why
screen.
he looks familiar, he is the coach for Pro Esports from the recently concluded MPLKH.
Yep.
And before that, he was with Burnex Flash.
Yes.
And then prior, he was making the rounds around MPL Philippines. So yeah,
Next play, yeah.
he's been around the block, folks. As we wait for the ladies, our athletes here competing in a best of one to load into the Land of Dawn. All right, so we answered that question. Did it skew their battle spell choices? Yes. But will it skew their gameplay? Because again, Wolf, if I think Vietnam knows what we were talking about, they would do just that so that they can help confirm that first hurdle.
Yep. Will they skew their gameplay? Absolutely, the answer is yes. Because now you want to time your purifies. But not only that, you want to, as much as possible, you don't want to use your purify, right? Because
Yep.
you want to outplay that Minotaur. Maybe force that Minotaur to utilize the Minoan's Fury or force the Rage itself. Because, well, even before, the playstyle you want to do against a Minotaur is that you want to play around the Rage. You want to force the Rage so that when you eventually T-fight, the opposing Minotaur will have to wait for the Rage to be up once again. It's like 2 layers that you can do against the Minotaur. Now, you might not be able to do that. But then again, you have that luxury of forcing the ultimate anyways, especially the fact that it's easier to dodge the Minoan's Fury in a way nowadays. But of course, a well-timed flicker, Minoan's Fury will still be very impactful.
Yep.
Overall, you want to play around your purifies and the opposing Minotaur's ultimate usage. So it is true that you will be skewing your timing at least.
All right, here we go. It's a huge 4-woman rotation. This is leashing on a whole nother level. Oh, no, never mind. I thought they were going to...
No, it is. Look at that. 3 woman leash. Yeah.
Oh, so this is a different rotation for Team Laos as compared to the first series or the previous series here for this team. Now for Team Vietnam, I really like the majority of them is on the flickers. I mean, I'm not really a fan of Purify, but why not? But for Team Laos, I think that they are really at a disadvantage because even after the Minoan's Fury, there's also the penalty zone.
Yeah.
So the layering of skills is a crucial thing here for Team Vietnam.
Oh, interesting that we did say that Purify is gonna be good, but this is even the Eve does have a CC immunity with the ultimate to be even forced to use her own Purify, which is they will just doubling down. Now they know that there should be priority on their Eve because apart from the Eve, there's not really much damage that can come from their heroes in the early stages. So New will actually have even more of an important role compared to the previous game that they have just because of the nature of their draft.
Uh-oh.
Oops. Karawap is in a danger zone as Vietnam will secure that first blood. Talk about crowd control and pokes.
The Trap King got trapped.
Yeah.
That's tough. I wonder what she was thinking there, because again, there's only so much room for you to puncture out of a 3-woman gank this early on. Good news is she will be back, though. She'll be at the turtle pit in 10 seconds, so just in time for it to spawn. But a death is a death.
Yeah, and I believe, for me, she's already at level 4, so even the damage of the retribution is really high as compared to the junglers for both of our players.
Yeah, you typically don't be super duper aggressive when you're playing the Lancelot up until level 4, where you have the Phantom Execution to get out. Nice poke from Tuma.
And retribution, or rather will go to Vietnam. Here comes the penalty zone, plus another set of play from Team Vietnam. 2 players down. For Team Laos, here comes Snu with the real world manipulation, although not enough damage here for Team Laos.
Oh, this is what was theorized on how you want to play the Minotaur. You want to take advantage, because after the changes, you have access to your knockup much easier than before, but your Minoan Sphere is kind of nerfed. Now, you can see that the jumps coming from Tuma actually connected into 2 successive knockups that didn't need the usage of the Minoan's Fury, which actually allowed them to get more kills and the pokes on it to the Lancelot. So, Tuma, I mean, we were talking about how we wanted to be successful. So far, she's been delivering.
Yep, and that's on the offensive side, right? That's talking about what Vietnam can output. Something else that's a concept that might be new to some people, because again, we really don't see Minotaur as much, is the Vietnamese ube. This early on, the healing properties of the Minotaur's kit actually helps them take fights.
Yeah, we were all focused on the Minoan Fury. We all forgot that with the heals or the sustain here of Team Vietnam. And at the same time, even for Mia, the jungler of Team Vietnam, has her own shields, right? With the kit of in terms of sustaining. So Team Vietnam right now is on the lead, 1.7k. They just have to continue what they're doing in terms of rotation. But Team Laos, they really have to make this Lancelot work as much as possible. Okay.
Oh, no.
We just have to wait again.
Yep. So far, man. 4 minutes in, 2 deaths on your jungler, 1 on your XP laner. And the whole Purify situation hasn't even come into play yet.
Yeah, I really like, Leo, the emphasis on the XP lane and the jungler, because with the current meta right now, as much as possible, you want to be it's not a dead lane anymore. You want the XP lane to be the first to be part of a team fight as much as possible. And with the death of the XP lane, it is safe to say that for Team Vietnam, they could really execute that lane, or really penetrate that lane as much as possible to minimize the potential of the XP lane, and at the same time give space to the other lane, which is the gold lane.
Yep. I'm just looking at the changes onto the Minotaur. By the way, Despair Stomp, the one with the knockup, its cooldown at maximum level is just 5.5, which
is fast.
It is very much spammable.
So, are we looking at Shunpo levels of engage?
Yeah, I guess. And of course, if you're really masterful with it, right, you can chain it up. And Minoan Fury right now is in a weird spot, because again, before it was like 3 stuns altogether, 3 knockups. But the fact that you have the Despair Stomp in a much more spammable way means that you can be a big threat to the Claude even better, right? Because now the Claude will have to think between the Minoan Fury and the Despair Stomp.
Yeah, which am I going to save myself from?
And you cannot save yourself from both, because the Purify is only a second of CC immunity, right? So, yeah, I guess that this is before, when the Minotaur is already one of those answers, or soft answers to the Claude, and now you can even say that it is a hard counter, because if you pop the Blazing Duet anyways, you can be cancelled, or you can the Minotaur can just tank through and just absorb all the damage, make it so that the Minoan Motivation Roar is much better, and you get to rage faster as well.
With that being served at the table for Team Vietnam, I believe for Team Laos, they should adjust. I mean, their lineup is really for the team fight, right? But with that, they could go for either forcing like an initiation at the other lane and give
Yeah.
space for the goal lane, just to be able to bait the majority of the skills of a Team Vietnam that have that blazing do it for the perfect timing here on the squad. So we could see right now the turtle objective, Bumblebee, has been cancelled on the Numinum Blast, and we will secure that turtle objective as the players of Vietnam, and Laos is in for the treat, another kill for Team Vietnam. Here comes Flattery on the sides, but Cookies is forced to run away. Nu and even Karawap as well, and Cookies is down on the middle lane. Platoon not enough damage on a Blazing Duet, being forced to back away before players of Vietnam with the flicker in, but they may out for Platoon.
Okay, that will be a massive team fight for Vietnam as, again, Tuma with the usage of the Despair Stomp to cancel out the Numinum Blast as the flicker was already being set in. It could have been very deadly for Vietnam to receive that Numinum Blast hitting onto multiple people, but Tuma saving the day once again. You can see it through the replay now. A team fight onto the Lord, secured by me. And then you can see the penalty zone, which was also greatly targeted, and the Praetor's Wrath from the jungler of the side of Vietnam, giving so much to their team. Look at that! Look at the connection of Tuma and the Fredrin. Just all of the knockups that they have, gonna be a problem.
That's difficult, man. Between the MF and the DS, there's so much that Laos has to think about.
Yeah.
And yeah, at some point I'm confused. Like, what was that? Was it the knockup from the Fredrin? Was that the knockup from the Minotaur? That's us watching. What more the players from Laos? They're thinking, oh no, what do I use my Purify for? How do I even engage?
When is going to be the perfect timing for me to use the skill as well? I mean, you really have to consider everything. If you're allows for a Bumblebee, it might be a factor for her to really know, again, at the perfect timing in terms of the Numinum Blast. By the way, again, we really have to commend the performance of Ngoc Bay on that zoning out the two players of Laos earlier on that turtle team fight.
That's 4 ways to cancel the Numenon Blast.
That's a lot.
Oh no!
Again, here comes Hume and the rest of the players as Nu is going to be down. Cookies is here, but is the sustain enough? Nope. Karawap, the Trap Queen, is going to be the target. Forces to dash away. Numinum Blast for Bumblebee comes in the flicker. Blazing to it for the rest of the players. Another penalty zone, but Feathered Airstrike is there for Team Vietnam. Ngoc Bay is forced to back away, but the sustain of Vietnam, again, is just right there.
Vietnamese Uber.
Oh my god. You can see already Tuma connecting with 2 massive knockups, and then it was followed up by the Turtles, the ultimate. Although they were only able to get 2 kills, the fact that they fended off the attack from Laos and they got 2 kills, then got the Turtle, now they are at 5.1k gold lead. Vietnam is really riding on this train that Tuma is leading. And we were talking about how we wanted the Minotaur to be successful, and I think that we are given much more than we expected already.
Yeah, this Minotaur play is really efficient for Vietnam with the play style that they have. I mean, we talked about aggression for Team Vietnam, and Leo mentioned earlier the system here for me and even Tuma. It's as if they are a couple here that they're really together. The body system here, rather, for Team Vietnam with those plays.
Dual goals.
Yep. At worst, you don't get the kill, but you survive because you're 2 chunky boys or girls. At best, you can kill. There's a lot of damage on a Fredrin.
Exactly. And this is also a Minotaur that was buffed when it comes to the damage output.
Whoa.
Oh, look at that. Again, here comes a better airstrike, plus those dashes from that Melissa in the middle lane is going to be the target here for Team Vietnam. Laos is there to defend their turrets, but Ngoc Bay uses the penalty zone on the middle lane. Batu almost down, but Cookies is zoning out the player. It's going to be a mega kill here for the Fredrin, the jungler of Vietnam.
Sustain the Vietnamese Ube that we are talking about. Tuma on the front lines once again, but it was me, or M-I-E.
Not you.
The player, not me. Not
me.
literally Wolf, but the player from Vietnam.
She's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
She is. Landing the kill even before the Praetor's Wrath happened, and the fact that she also sustained herself, not overextending, but calculating what she can sustain, and then eventually took out the member of Laos. Fortunately for Laos, however, they will be able to defend their mid lane unless there's somebody who will be pushing that. But there should be someone to defend that too.
Yeah, that's what's both terrifying and terrific about Vietnam is they're able to play this way with a lineup like this.
Exactly.
Yeah. And at the same time, with this type of lineup, it's as if individually they could actually have their own type of sustain, right? With the Terizla, even the heal of Tuma, even the itemization later on for Miko. So for Team Laos, again, it's all about the trades here as much as possible to really on par in terms of the gold lead here against Team Vietnam. But man, it is 8-0 for this 9-minute game time.
Yep, all Vietnam gave Laos is one turret up top. That's it.
Yep. That means that Laos has to be crafty with this one. We're pretty sure that if it's in a full engage, if it's a head-on collision, Laos will not have the team fighting tool to really destroy Vietnam because there's already sustained. There's a lot of knockups, a lot of CC, and a lot of damage all together. Laos has to be crafty. I think that it is not advisable for them to fight head-on. They have to split the map, get pickups, or maybe just win the macro battle. Because if it is gonna be a full man engage, Vietnam will just easily get the win.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for the lineup of Team Laos,
look at that.
Flicker has been used, by the way. But for Vietnam, it's just the pokes. They want to go in for the zone in terms of this Lord. And going back to the lineup of Team Laos, one distinguished factor here is that for the Claude with the dab. Oh, wait. Karawap, nope. Denied by a Team Vietnam. Marksman heroes, by the way, for Laos and Vietnam. Skill dependent is the Claude. As per the Melissa, as much as possible, when you place cuddles or even models, it's really more on the damage per second. So Team Vietnam right now is at 8k gold lead. Wow.
Oh, that's amazing. That's huge.
Again, Bumblebee is gonna be the target here, and says Vietnam. No, Bumblebee is still alive, but again, another zoning out here for Team Vietnam. Nu is forced to back away. There is the damage, yes, but for Team Vietnam, they want to take this turret on the middle lane.
Dear God. Tuma is a force of nature. If she has the minnow and fury, she will force the issue. If she doesn't, she will stick to her teammates until she does.
And we were talking about the fact that Laos should be the one who tries to outplay the timings from the Minnow and Fury, as well as the rage coming out from Tuma. But Tuma is unrelentless. Even without the rage, she's fighting.
Speaking of relentless, even Ngok Bay on the top lane is relentless.
Yeah.
Sorting out 2 players. By the way, Cookies is down by the hands of our Vietnamese team, and the bottom lane is going to be the target here for Team Vietnam. So Team Laos is struggling a bit.
Oh, too early.
Too early, yes, for that Numen Blast, but they want to, as much as possible, kill that minion as fast as possible on that moment.
That is very true. At this point, survival is top priority for Laos. They are trailing behind by 10k. They cannot engage, no matter what happens. It was understood that during the first Lord fight, there could be no way for Laos to team fight against Vietnam, and Karawap just tried to go for the steal. Maybe in the next Lord, if she manages to get into level 15, maybe she has a fighting chance for another retreat battle. But all in all, Vietnam will have an easier time with these team fights. Pickoffs is what Laos can only have right now.
This is going to be the saving grace for Team Laos as Ngok Bay is down, although that was 4 players.
4 ultimates.
Yeah, 4 ultimates as well.
Yep, and they're going to pay the price of a... No! It looks like Team Vietnam did not synchronize that trade very well.
Yeah, that was close in the middle lane.
Yep, that will be to the benefit of Laos for sure, but they need more of that. Look at this. They did not clear out the whole purple box.
That's mean.
It's a very mean. Yeah.
That's mean.
It's actually very mean. Yeah, Vietnam just making sure that they will not have anything for Laos to take for free. And this means that in the upcoming Lord fight, the Charizard will be available anyways. All they have to do now is to position themselves in a way that they will invite Laos to actually team fight. And for Laos, you have to dodge that fight for sure.
Yeah, speaking of dodge, by the way, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of Lord Steals. That could be the possible option for Team Laos to, as much as possible, be close to the lead that Vietnam has. But with the position of Vietnam, it's a lot difficult with the Minotaur. I mean, when you see the Minotaur, there's an effect that it is a big hero.
Yep, Tuma at this point, in-game, she is literally a 250-pound, 6'6" beast.
Yeah.
Nothing is going through her.
That's right.
And just truth be told, right? The way Karawap is trying to, at least the first time she tried to steal that Lord, it just wasn't going to happen because Vietnam plays so tight.
Laos tried to go for the conceal play, but they did not catch anyone. It was far too soon, and this means that they will not have that tool, conceal, at this point in the game. That is so important.
Yeah, and for this Lord of Team Vietnam again, they have the 10K goal lead. It is a big opportunity for them to like really seal or destroy those turrets on the middle lane and even the bottom lane, or might be the last team fight that they need to secure this win against Team Laos.
Oh, here we go. Lord's going to crash in. There's your penetration. Up top's going to fall too.
Another
Tuma.
turret destroyed. Here
Tuma.
goes a pedal zone plus a feathered airstrike for the side of Team Vietnam. But the damage is already there for Plateau.
Oh.
Mika says, I am here. The damage is here. Bumblebee lost that immortality. And Daisy will secure the kill against him. 2 players down for Team Laos as the Lord is here on the middle lane. Tower lock, and Team Vietnam will secure their win.
And with that, Vietnam not only got a win for themselves, securing their semifinals berth, but as well, this effectively eliminates Laos from the 32nd Sea Games from MLBB Women's.
That is true. They will have a date against Team Malaysia to define who will be the one to face Philippines or Indonesia. Winner plays Philippines, loser plays Indonesia in the next round. But my oh my, all of the fire that Laos was able to ignite for themselves dissipated in the thin air as Vietnam pulled up that Minotaur. Tuma was so good at this hero, and we were kind of wanting and wishing for that hero to be successful, and we got what we wished for.
Yeah, definitely efficient for Team Vietnam. Again, all I can say for Team Vietnam is they are a different type of beast coming to this game.
Oh, yeah.
With, I mean, we don't really see Minotaur nowadays, but they went in for the Minotaur, surprised everyone with the performance. It's as if it's really part of their strategy. How much
For
more
sure.
if they go in or went in for another hero that is part of the meta?
Yeah.
And with that, again, a sign of sportsmanship. Team Vietnam goes ahead and thanks and congratulates their opponents as Team Laos, the Laotians, make their final bow. We would like to say GG well played and Kop Chai. That's thank you in Laotian. I tried.
Yeah, and wow, that was a very, very touching moment to see the competitors, exude their sportsmanship like that. Big props to Laos for that wonderful game versus Malaysia, and this time they were utterly surprised for what Vietnam will be able to bring to the table. And the fact that the Vietnam came out strong out of the gates, that means that Malaysia will be definitely having to be prepared for them. Because if you play the Minotaur like this, that is very, very scary.
Yep, there's another best of one. There's one more left in Group B, and it's going to be Malaysia versus Vietnam. And as if saying, if you enjoyed Laos' playstyle, Team Vietnam says, hold your breath. We'll show you something else. We'll play a Minotaur. Wolf, talk to us what happened here.
Well, we start with the draft for sure, with that last pick Minotaur that made a lot of sense versus the overall lineup of Laos. You have so much engage potential and AoE damage that you know that the passive as well as the second skill, the motivation roar, and the overall kit of Minotaur will be able to counter. Not only was it a pick that they have prepared as a pocket strategy, it's also a pick that makes a lot of sense versus the composition of Laos, which are kind of allergic to all of the knockups. And with that spammable stump of coming out from the Minotaur, you always have access to ways to cancel the spells or what Laos wants to bring to the table. For example, Blazing Duet is always threatened by the stump. You also have the Eve, which will not have a good time even when she has CC immunity. Think about it. Well, it's not actually a CC immunity. It's more of the fact that she can still utilize the ultimate while being stunned up. You're not even safe from the natural DPS and the control that you get out of the heroes of Team Vietnam. Then if you couple it with the Fredrin and the Terzla, all of a sudden you have so much crowd control in the composition of Vietnam where Laos just cannot stay in front. And the fact that Vietnam also took out Karawap in the first engagement around the Lethal Wanderer, stopping Karawap to snowball into that Lancelot that you want to have if you're Team Laos, that meant that Vietnam will have a much more comfortable team fight. They also snagged this Melissa from Laos as one of the first few picks. For going with that 1-1, which we know is a very, very strong hero, they picked up the Melissa instead. And now, if you can see through the highlights, it makes a lot of sense. Before that, though, let's take a moment to appreciate what Tuma from Vietnam was able to achieve. 92% kill participation, 3-0 and 9, and a lot of knock-ups to boot, going in for the favor boots to allow herself to be the hospital or the medic that can be into the front lines as well. It's like an ambulance tank, if that hybrid exists. Tank Ambulance. Yeah, she was able to frontline for the team. She was able to allow for a lot of like massive knockups to start the fights, and even uses it as a way to kind of start the fights and also poke her opponents. I can fairly remember the way that she utilized the stomp to already output a lot of damage onto the Lancelot before the turtle fight or the neutral objective happens, which allows for Vietnam to be more comfortable into the team fights. Here we go. Stomp connecting onto Catawap to take that out, and then onto the first turtle fight, Tuma just stayed in front of Catawap, connecting with that upgraded or enhanced Minotaur Stomp, which allowed for more range when it comes to the knockup radius. Then they want to fight once again. You can see the way that they team fought against the members of Team Laos, and Knockbay as the Terizda just connecting with all of the usage of the penalty zone, and then it was supplemented by so many other sources of knockups coming out from Team Vietnam, and the sustain as well under the turret, under the real world manipulation, and of course the damage output of the Numenum Blast from the Lolita. They still managed to stay alive just because of the sustain coming out from Tuma. Look at this, they want to go for the gamble onto the Lord, but unfortunately they didn't have enough. It was such a strong lead that Vietnam was able to amass in the first few minutes of the game. It came to the point, the first time that somebody died from the team of Vietnam, they had to commit 4 ultimates just to take the Turtles out. That is how big the lead was for Team Vietnam, and that is how masterful this draft has been played by the Vietnamese squad, and that's the reason why they were able to advance into the playoffs of this tournament.
Kao Min is a fan of Tuma. I'm definitely excited to see how she'll perform against Team Malaysia, her and the rest of Team Vietnam.
Yeah.
I mean, if Team Vietnam and even Team Malaysia, if you think about it, they almost have the same playstyle. In terms of sustain, in terms of the crowd control prowess that they have. So with this unorthodox type of heroes for both of our teams, I believe that the next matchup is going to be an interesting one, because it's either you want to go for those team fights or go for the objective taking. A lot to consider for our players and our teams.
Now, come to think of it, the last impressive Minotaur I remember was a Malaysian Minotaur. It was from MLBB Men's Division Sea Games team representative Chico guys from Team Malaysia.
Oh yeah,
so that's perfect, right? But just the same, it's Vietnam now who's rocking the Minotaur. I wonder if they will make it work up against Malaysia later on, or if Malaysia will just say, stop it, we'll just ban it out. That matchup coming up very soon. Once again, you're watching the official English broadcast of the 32nd Sea Games for MLBB Women's Tournament. We'll be right back.
They're here making another statement. They deserve this celebration. EG Warblade, North America has come.
Welcome to Mobile Legends. Legends.
Starting off 2023 with a huge bang. The M4 World Championship by Mobile Legends Bang Bang Esports achieved one of the highest peak concurrent viewerships of 4.2 millions, setting the tone for the year. And with the MPL seasons and official tournaments going underway in their respective regions, we know that fans across the globe wanted more. Taking place in Phnom Penh, the vibrant capital city of lovely Cambodia, for the first time in MSC history, this year's cup will include non-sea representatives. And why do this and include international teams? The objective is simple: to improve MLBB esports level and ecosystem, evolving an established regional brand into an international championship, one without borders. MSC 2023 is a testament to the increasing demand and support from fans across the world. Hashtag See the World. We will work hard to elevate the tournament level and increase our esport competitiveness. With that, do look forward to witnessing world-class MLBB esports in Phnom Penh this June. See you there, and see the world.
Every day, I have this reoccurring dream. A dream that has repeated countless times. A dream about destiny.
What's on your mind?
Mother, why must we build the Star Atlas?
We've been mapping the stars to reclaim our destiny.
Our destiny?
If we can unlock the secrets, we can break the shackles of destiny.
Finally!
Navaria, happy 16th birthday!
Mother?
Ooh, star glimmers! Even in darkness, they shine. The Atlas!
What's happening? It's pulling everything into it! Navaria! Mother! Hold on! Don't let it go! Break the shackles! Mother! Mother! Break the shackles!
Happy 16th birthday!
Finally! That dream again.
What's on your mind?
Mother?
Welcome back. You're tuned in to the official English broadcast of the 32nd Sea Games covering the MLBB Women's Tournament. At your service, my name is Leo. Here with Chantel and Wolf, we're bringing you the final BO1 in Group B. You're going to be catching Vietnam and Malaysia in action. And I don't think I speak for myself here. The desk here agrees. This is a match that you don't want to miss.
Yeah, definitely. And again, if it's Vietnam and Malaysia, we saw their performance earlier. I believe that this is going to be a long game in terms of how they play, because both of our teams are really playing for those clashes, right? And when we say clashes, there is the sustain, there is that damage. But yeah, this is the sixth match. So this is Malaysia versus Vietnam. And we will see later on that there is going to be the semifinals. So Indonesia is already waiting. I believe they will be facing the top two for Group B.
So technically speaking, the match that we are going to see will define top 1 and 2. So winner plays Philippines, loser plays Indonesia in the semifinal. That alone is, I think that's the truth, the absolute truth.
Yes.
In this series.
Yep.
Logically speaking, that's what's going to happen. And given how both Team Vietnam and Team Malaysia have shown to play against Team Laos, I think we're in for a treat either way, regardless of what happens. But now, we're here to find out who exactly will be number one, who can go home or at least close up the night and say, you know what? We finished top of our group. We are the superior team in the Wild West of Group B of the Sea Games.
Okay, so Shanta kind of talked about the fact that there are big clashes for teams, and I think that it's not just the magnitude or the volume of those clashes. I think that they are actually reliant on those big ticket ultimates that we have. You saw that for Team Malaysia. You can expect that from Team Vietnam as well, which kind of makes it very exciting to see what will happen in this particular best of 1, especially because there's no party pooper that of the Tiki. It's available,
and that's
right?
true. As the way we see the Minotaur, we saw the Akai being picked here on this tournament. I'm really looking forward to see the Atlas. You know, with the Atlas, of course, it's a really of a counter initiation type of a hero with the Fatal Links ultimate, and with the Vietnam and Malaysia matchup. Again, we've mentioned that the loser of this game is going up against Team Philippines. Basically, those three countries that we've mentioned has the same playstyle, right?
Yep, they do. At the same, if not the same, like at least similar. Right? We see that some. One thing that we do know is that they want to go for full engages, and now we are going to see Team Vietnam.
Again, highlight player from earlier is Yuma. She has quite the specific hero, let's call it that. Her Minotaur from the second best of 1 in Group B was a show stealer, and I'm excited to see what else she brings, or if there will be more surprises.
Yeah, that's actually true. And when we talk about, we've mentioned about Minotaur. If we think about it, there's a possibility that since it's effective, it will be picked again and again by Team Vietnam. Knowing that, what other heroes could actually counter a Minotaur? I'm thinking about
Nathan, you think, because of the pushback.
Because of the pushback.
Yeah, thinking since they have already shown that they can play the Lancelot, that might be an answer. But another hero is the Martis with the counter knockup, which if you utilize that knockup from the Martis, you're also CC immune during that moment. That could be a counter. Other heroes that might be seen in that regard is the Pufra, which what you want to do is to just be in front of your opponents with the bouncing ball, so that if ever there will be any kind of sort of follow-up, you're still already there. So that's that.
The last time that the Minotaur was mainstream, or at least part of the meta in a big way, Kufra was as well.
That's right.
So there's that dynamic, and yeah, between those two, it's Kufra we see more of. So I wonder if that's going to play a role here, if that's going to be what actually ends up in the roam role for both Team Vietnam and Team Malaysia. Again, the lineup brought in did change much. If I'm not mistaken, this should be the same main five, the same ladies from both Malaysia and Vietnam.
And you know, this really is such a good timing for both teams to be part of the last best of one of their group. At the same time, them just fighting for a tournament slot. They also already saw what each team will be able to bring to the table. For example, the electrifying fast tempo and good team fighting positioning coming up from Team Malaysia. Then of course, big team fight ultimates that can come out from the sustain slash aggressive Vietnamese ube that we can expect from the Vietnamese team. So we couldn't have drawn this story even more perfectly because of the fact that now they're fighting for the top spot.
Again, for this game, we saw the possibilities of other heroes to be picked here for our teams. It's really more of them again dealing with the possibilities that there could be a counter on those heroes that was brought in the table, and probably go for the safer route in terms of the early rotation. Again, we saw the game earlier for Vietnam. There was a first blood against the jungler of Team Laos, and that alone, if you're playing in a best of one series, you don't want that to happen. So it's really more on the tempo making type of rotation, but at the same time, you have to think, am I gonna take the risk or am I gonna go for the safer route? But if you don't take the risk, then there might be no outcome or better outcome.
No reward.
A bit tricky though.
Yeah, it's very tricky. But of course, as spectators, you want to see teams just relying more on the risk than it is for standard playstyle, right? Which so far has been true with the first two series that we saw from the two best of ones that we saw from Group B. Now with Vietnam having that momentum from the previous game, especially after showing us that Minotaur, I think that they will be the team that will be more reliant on the high-risk, high-reward plays. Whereas Malaysia, which is weird, right? Because Malaysia is a very chaotic, the region as much as their own meta game dictates.
Yep.
After seeing what they can bring to the table in their first best of one, maybe they're the team that's more reliant on the scientific method of things, wherein the input will have a certain output.
Yeah, no, that's what I think is what these teams shouldn't overthink. Because if
Right,
you're worried about the chaos that Malaysia brings or the possible pocket picks that Vietnam has, will that not hinder your own progress?
That's true.
Will that not change the way you approach the situation here? Because again, it's just the best of one, and it may affect how you go into the semifinals as we go into BO3s a little later this evening. So, again, as Malaysia did and as Vietnam did, just play your game. That'll be my sage advice.
You don't really have to overthink things. Of course, before they went here on our venue, they really prepared for their own strategy.
Yes.
So why not bring that into the table as much as possible? Really want those comfy type of plays, even the heroes, and do not experiment too much, because sometimes if you are overthinking things, the outcome isn't what you expect it to be, because you want this and that. This might be the things that the other team will do, but when in fact you could have your own type of rotation, even a strategy to force the other team to play your game rather than you playing their game.
That's right. Okay, which, Vietnam will be on the first pick. The blue side. I wonder if now, because one thing that we noticed is that in the first two series is that there's one that was banned in the first one. Second series, they didn't even think about the 1-1 at all. It was completely ignored. Will this mean that Malaysia will have at least one of their slots to be free when it comes to banning? Because typically, you're the designated ban for the 1-1 if you're on the red side. But now Malaysia, after knowing that Vietnam will not even bother picking that up, the Melissa will be the priority anyways. Maybe they will not ban the 1-1, just take the Eve as soon as possible, because it is an answer or a Farsa, right? Farsa or Eve as their first two picks, knowing that the Melissa will be picked up anyways by Vietnam.
Yeah.
Right?
One revelation actually with the drafting of our female teams is that there is high possibility that when the Eve is open, even on the first pick, that's the priority already for the team. Even Valentina is the most banned, most probably on this tournament, in this category. So for this one, maybe we might see a pause for or mage steals in terms of pickings here for Vietnam and Malaysia, because both uses Eve, and with the Eve picks, actually you really want to go for the tempo type of plays. I mean, with one swipe you could slow down majority of the players, even though if you're up against a Minotaur, right? So yeah, with the Eve, probably the Eve as a first pick, or maybe I don't want to say things. I mean, this is a different type of drafting sequence for our teams.
I think just in general, we can expect that both teams will want to prioritize making a solid box for themselves. They'll want to be able to say, all right, this is where we fight. The opponent is expected to be chaotic. The opponent is expected to, play heroes that we're not used to. At least we can say this is our space, and we will do what we want here. That's what I'm expecting, and yes, that's why the Eve might be a priority for both.
Yeah. And especially with the heroes, with the marksman choices that they have, like I think that the Melissa, and it was Moscow. Was it Moscow?
Melissa Moscow, yes.
Or was it
actually,
both Melissa?
Both Melissa. Yep, and Moscow has been banned for
both,
for
Series 2.
For Series 2, yes. So we could say that
no way!
Yes way!
Yes way!
Here we go! Team Vietnam on the play, banning out the Joy, and here's Team Malaysia saying, Tiuma, we see you.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, right? You've mentioned about the eggs. I mean, the
lack thereof.
The lack of the counter of this Minotaur. So why not? Let's ban it, because although you're saying that you're opening up other heroes, but the good thing is that they are on the red side.
Yeah, maybe again this is a result of the fact that the 1-1 is not a priority at all by Vietnam. So it is one of those free slots in the red side, which typically should be occupied by that 1-1. So man, why am I the only one who's not rejoicing here?
With what?
With the ban of the... I want to see more of it.
Ah, okay.
I don't know, man. If anything, I'll take this from the brighter side. They might be forced to play something new. This might force Vietnam to say, all right, you took away my Minotaur.
Okay.
Unleash the X. I don't know, man. That's
So regardless, since both our teams are secured for the semifinal slot, since they banned out Minotaur, they want Vietnam to give more information with regards to their hero pool, banning out the Minotaur.
Hey, what is this? Malaysia banning out the Estes. Do they... No, again. There was also a targeted ban from Malaysia. It was the Claude that they banned out against Laos. Earlier on, which is kind of threw off one of some of our ideas between the two teams. But now with the Estes, targeted ban again from Malaysia. This tells me that whoever is there for Malaysia as their coaching staff really did their homework against their opposing teams. Vietnam, Estes, we have not seen that for sure. This is a very super duper targeted ban. I'm thinking Joy, or maybe thinking Arla. That's the last one here for Malaysia.
I mean, for Malaysia's ban, I believe it's a good observation with the coaching staff, because we've tagged them as the Vietnamese Ube. With the sustained counter, that's nice ban, by the way, for Team
there
Malaysia.
It is. Ngokbe, I see you.
I see you.
Are you going to force a Terizla from earlier?
Is it going to be Gaja?
Oh! Melissa, they snag it. So now you go Farsa or Eve, then 1-1.
Oh yeah, 1-1 is still
Or maybe
open.
just reserve it for a third pick,
I mean,
perhaps.
Because there's no rush. There's no rush.
Yeah.
This is a time we're in. I don't want to mention 1-1 anymore, because the other series, it wasn't really picked and not even banned for the game. And it's a nice decision, by the way, for Vietnam. It makes perfect sense with Melissa. Regardless, they could still have either Forza or either Eve, or maybe even Valentina.
Yeah, but I do think that the Eve is such a good pick here. Then you pair it up with something like a Fredrin, but they go Farsa instead. It's literally the same. It's all about the flavor. Then Martis.
Ooh.
They prefer the Martis instead of the Fredrin.
Yeah. I guess because they don't want to be facing up against the Melissa with, that likes the front-to-back strategy, the gauge type. Fredrin wants to go in front, and Melissa kind of thrives in that kind of that kind of place. But the Marte is very early picked up by Malaysia. Kind of makes it so that Vietnam will, even when they pick up the Fredrin, they know that they will have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to the matchup in the jungle.
Okay, so that is gonna be. Oh, okay. We see bodyguards here for Vietnam.
So you go 1-1.
There it
know
is.
You know it's gonna happen. Then you ban something like Lolita if you're Malaysia.
And Eve.
And Eve. That's right. Eve and
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Lolita merits a ban because Lolita is the only hero that will now be a problem for the 1-1.
Yeah, that's true. And with the two fighter picks for Vietnam, 1-1 is definitely a good pick for them. I mean, a lot of possibility to really proc that ultimate as early as possible.
Yep.
But it's gonna be an Eve ban, which is actually nice for team Malaysia because usually the natural counter for Farsa is usually the Eve,
Yeah.
not unless Vietnam will go for the Kagura.
I'm thinking, what if Malaysia, instead of banning out Lolita, they ban out Valentina, then pick up the Lolita?
Oh,
That
is
will
true.
be a great pickup because now you have a way to block the Melissa. You have the Numenor Blast, which will be a problem for both Fredrin as well as the Melissa, and in a way the Terizla as well. But of course, you're scared of the knockups from both the Terizla and the Fredrin, but at the same time, if you time your ultimate well, you're going to be okay. So I'm thinking Valentina is the man here for Malaysia.
Yeah, ban it, and then you... Yep, that's exactly right. Now, not only that, you now compromise mid and roam for Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yep.
You choke them out.
Exactly. Wow, this is... Malaysia's coaching staff is definitely prepared for all these.
Ooh,
There you go.
talk
Right.
about possible Valentina ban for Malaysia. Nice ban for the team. And for Vietnam, they're going for those tanky type of heroes.
Yeah.
So could be
I think you just ban Lolita here.
Lolita, yeah.
You don't want it to be picked up by Malaysia.
Don't give it.
It will be a very good pick. Although you would want to get it. Instead, they ban out Atlas. Understandably so. We know that the big ticket defense will be there. So now you go ahead, pick up the Lolita.
And we see the players of Malaysia actually smiling, rather Vietnam, on that Atlas ban. So with this hero composition, yeah, why not Lolita for Malaysia? I mean, that's a natural counter for a 1-1.
No. Oh, instead it's Kufra. Okay.
All right, so they'd rather answer the Fredrin. Maybe they'll just find the Melissa with the Farsa and maybe even the Martis if she can dive in deep.
That's right. So you're looking for mid lane, the supporting duo, 4 and 5. Man, does Vietnam do the Kadita Johnson kind of thing?
Oh no, that sounds.
No,
No,
it's not
they pick
Lolita.
up the Lolita.
It's good for their comp. And
Ooh,
wow,
wow.
Lunox.
A mid Lunox.
Wow.
Yeah, that is actually nice for Team Vietnam. As much as possible, since Farsa is a type of hero that really rotates fast with the wings by wings, Lunox is a good answer. Just to shred either Martis or even a Kufra on the early game.
So you still have Lapu Lapu, although it's not that best. I think you want to go Yu Zhong instead if you're Malaysia. You have a way to dive into the backlines. You're not that scared about the Melissa. You can dive it. Of course, the Lapu Lapu will be good as well overall. But I think that when it comes to the overall team fight of Malaysia, you would want to have someone to initiate. They go Lapu Lapu instead. We know that it works against the... In a way, against the Melissa.
Yep.
Yeah. It also helps find the Lunox when it's done using the Brilliance.
Yeah, true.
Also
That's
helps cancel out the Numenor Blast. A lot of ways. I think between the Yuzhong and the Lapu, better re-engage on the Lapu.
Yeah, that is true. And with the hero composition here of Team Vietnam, the positioning of Lolita is gonna be crucial, of course, with the possibilities of the canceling, with the skill set of the heroes here of Team Malaysia.
All right, now we are in it for a treat. I could have sworn the Lolita is perfect for Team Malaysia, but instead they went for the Kufra, and Kufra is a household hero in the Malaysian region. They even play. It is so household. It came to a point where it was played EXP and jungle for the Malaysia side. But of course, we know that it will be played in the roaming role here.
And for sure now, given our predictions, we're still given a lot of credit and a lot of stock in the, I'd say, experience
Yeah.
and the more developed nature of MLBB in Malaysia as they go up against Vietnam here in tonight's final best of one. Anything to note here, Arya, on that Kufra? I'm not sure if this counts as a double XP lane start, but yeah. I think we're past that window.
We're past that window. Arya will not have as much XP as you would want for the Kufra, but you need that ultimate anyway. So I would expect that there will be a switch come the 2-minute mark, or at least 1 minute 30 mark, wherein both XP the roamers will go to the mid lane, and then the mid laner will go to the XP lane to have double XP there.
Yeah, you really have to be fully equipped in terms of the turtle team fight. But we can see right now for both of our teams, they're just taking their time on taking those possible resources. And yes, as much as possible, you want those level 4s or those ultimates to be active on that first turtle team fight. And when we say, well, level 4s or ultimates, majority of those ultimates are really on the crowd control. So again, everyone has to be prepared for those counter sets and initiations as well.
Curious to see what the priority will be, especially with this Kufra and Farsa. A tale as old as time, one of the more iconic duos, right? Because you can initiate easily. The range of the Tyrant's Revenge is almost as big as the Fated Air Start. Meaning to say, no matter what happens, if you initiate, if you're true with your first skill as the Kufra, you will have a follow-up damage because of that Farsa. That is why I kind of recommended the Yuzhong more than the Lapu-Lapu, because you have a way to get into the backlines together with the Kufra. But this time it's the Lapu-Lapu, almost the same. The only problem that he will be facing later on is the Melissa ultimate. If the Melissa go away is timed perfectly, it can really shut down what the Lapu-Lapu can do. But of course, there's some CC immunity from the Lapu-Lapu. But again, like I said, if you get outplayed as the Lapu-Lapu, that Melissa will be able to shred through you.
And it's going to be a difficult situation because, despite Team Malaysia having a solid go, because again, Team Malaysia, they were in control in the second phase of the draft. Like, it was up to them to make their choice, and what was left for was what Team Vietnam would have built their lineup with.
Yep.
Now it comes down to execution. Now look at this. In the crowd, that's Team Indonesia in the back. They're waiting for who they will eventually face off against.
Yep. Gonna be watching. Gonna be preparing.
Oh, these are familiar faces.
Familiar faces.
Yeah, I believe for Coach Zico, I was really happy to see Minotaur earlier with that series, and a lot of familiar faces for our crowd.
Yep.
On the venue.
Yep, that's Mr. Dizon, by the way.
Mr.
Dizon, yep.
Yeah.
John Michael Dizon.
Is it? It is John Michael.
It is John Michael. We have a lot of John Michaels.
Yeah. JMD.
JMD.
Let's
But
go.
we can see on the middle lane that it's going to be an early team fight. Mortal Coil for Natasha, but Decimate won't be used as Ngokbei is already there for the counter set. First blood will go to Team Vietnam.
There it is.
That was close for
That's
both.
It's an interesting use of the penalty zone. You see that, Wolf? You see how the animation kind of like pulled them in? It's like, no.
Let me go.
But that is really good for Vietnam. You kind of understand why Malaysia went for that play. They wanted to go for the dive in the middle because they wanted to secure the ultimate for Arya. But as a result, they lost one of their members, which is very important. That is their jungler. Although she will be able to get into the turtle pit for this fight, she will not have the buffs because she died.
Yeah, that's true. And she has to wait for the cooldown of those buffs. Now, this is a nice pull, by the way, by Team Malaysia on this turtle objective. As to why Team Vietnam will just go in the middle lane and clear the minion wave. They just gave out the turtle because they wanted to go for a different play. But no casualty for that team fight or initiation. But it's going to be a nice setup play by Buddy as the blast has been casted. Tuma almost there. But Hani will secure the kill for Malaysia.
Man. Could have sworn that Vietnam already has got the advantage. Unfortunately, the pull for Malaysia was great. And Vietnam wanted to go for that invade on the purple buff. It's it's one thing. It's one of the rotations that a prominent team here in the Philippines, Blacklist International, did, wherein they forego the first turtle to invade the jungle instead. They think that it will be much more, at least in the first turtle, it's much better if you get the purple buff of the enemy instead. In this case, the purple buff was taken second by Malaysia, which meant that the respawn of the purple buff will not be at the same time as the spawn of the turtle. So me got baited into that spot.
Yep. So back to back. Oh,
Ooh,
what?
From the back,
Whoa.
that is a nice ultimate coming in from Arya. Here comes the third airstrike. No casualty yet. That was close against Miku, and Malaysia is forced to back away because majority of the skills or ultimate has been used already.
Okay.
How scary.
Yeah, and impressive.
Yeah.
But just the same, it didn't lead to much.
Yeah.
There's no enough damage yet for Malaysia, but there's the discipline. We saw the discipline because after using those ultimates, they just
Yeah. Just
went
backed
away.
out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Testament to how well Team Vietnam also prepared for this, and how great they are mechanically speaking under pressure.
That's right.
Most other teams, whether you're talking about male or men's or women's MLBB, would have crumbled under that situation given how deep and how far Arya jumped.
Oop. Yeah, that is true. But by the way, we saw Hani use that flicker already. And that is crucial since this is the turtle objective. We could see Daisy actually bursting that turtle as two players of Malaysia won't.
Whoa!
That is a nice turtle steal by Anatasha. And there's some players of Team Vietnam struggling to defend themselves. Brilliance out for Daisy. And Anatasha will go away 2-for-1 exchange for our teams.
Yep. That means that Malaysia will at least have a little bit of advantage in this game. But it is easy to say that this still will be an even game. So far, Vietnam did not lose as much, even after their curious decisions of trading for turtles, trading for purple buffs. Now you have me on the Fredrin, 0-1-1, but still level 7. He is a little bit of XP behind Natasha, but the fact that there's still a lot of seconds before the next turtle, which means that they can make a play.
Oh, look at that. Arya with the set,
Papa.
and Papa will come in for that ultimate. We could see Anatasha as well to be part of
Oh!
penalty zone to counter out. That is indeed a penalty zone as Arya is forced to back away. Anatasha will force the decimate kill. Gonna be a double kill for the jungler of a team of Malaysia. Arya will go in, but yep, bait that.
Arya!
Oh, killing spree.
Lord.
Oh my.
Did we not say prior to this game starting it's gonna get messy? Look at the trades. As far as this goes 6 minutes in, there's a turret. Up top, it's Vietnam's turn to take a turret.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I thought Arya's gonna, be back to the base, go in for the TP, but went in for another set of play as the way he was punished by Ngok Bay.
She didn't have a save on Natasha.
Yeah, she didn't have to. But look at that penalty zone. Watch out for it. Great timing from Ngok Bay. Beautifully done. Then they took out the Gold Daner, which is massive. But on the opposite end, you have the Lapu-Lapu and the Farsa combining together to take out the Melissa onto the bottom and then push the lane as well. Now this gives a big advantage to Malaysia because when it comes to just the raw numbers of it, checks and balances, Malaysia was able to get more. And they even dodge that penalty zone once again. Bunny will be able to defend this for sure.
So Team Vietnam will go in for a trade here at the bottom lane as they will give that turtle for Team Malaysia. Feather Airstrike, by the way, has been used as Hani is
early.
there. Another casualty at the bottom lane, and Vietnam again they give the turtle just to take the turret here at the bottom lane.
Yeah, I just said that they will be able to defend for sure. They have both Feathered Airstrike and Bravest Fighter, but they didn't wait for the minions to use it. It was far too early. Well, what it does and what it achieves now is that they gave a little bit of time for Fafao to be able to push, but because of that passive that you get from the turrets, that when its tier 1 is freshly destroyed, it will be so tanky. You saw how the shields and the barrier went into play for Vietnam.
Yep, and because of that, again, it's evident that Malaysia, the more experienced squad, the squad that actually knows maybe 2-3 steps from here what's going to happen. Vietnam, though, they're taking trades.
Yep.
And I think if this chaos, if it continues this way, I'm looking at Ngong Bek, and I'm looking at, I don't know, Daisy. At this point, it's too early for Miku. and Mie has been slipping up quite a bit. So yeah, no, off of Ngokbe and Daisy. If they can pull something out, again, I live for those penalty zone flickers.
Yeah.
Those are amazing. Those are pieces of art. If Ngokbe can find another one that hits 3 or 4, then we could see a gold swing over to Vietnam.
Definitely, we saw that earlier on the top lane, but here at the bottom lane, it's gonna be me and Ngokbe on that aggression against Bunny. But Bunny's just there to defend the turret as Malaysia again will secure a turret at top lane. So for Malaysia, it's really about the trades, like buying time on the other lanes.
100%. 2.7 thousand gold lead for Malaysia that they can really brute force their way into the team fights, because the Lord is going to be spawning in 12 seconds. You can see the positioning. They will activate 5 of their members. They know that they have the OP heroes to support it with.
There is going to be the setup play, but Ngokbe is still alive. No, there is the crossbow down. By the way, the ultimate of the 1-1 has already been used. So Vietnam could actually try and force to go for that, engage here. On the Lord, but nope.
Yep. 3 ultimates up and a lot of 3 ultimates down, but a lot of gold to boot for Malaysia, so that they can, like I said, they can brute force their way into fights. And the body of Smith, in fact, it works.
It's so good. Just the same, yes, they did spend the crossbow of Tang, but the penalty zone was also used up, so there was no way Vietnam was in a place to contest. And just like that, it's safe to say that Malaysia is in control. The map is red. There's a Lord gonna crash into a wave up top. So yeah, they're gonna leave that, but wait.
Nominum Blast will catch 2 players of the side of Team Malaysia as Papo is there for that free hit. But again, Team Vietnam with a double kill for Daisy, but Daisy is down. And Me is gonna be the target. Crossbow down for Fao, and Fafo with those free hits plus the help of Bunny will have a wipeout for Team Malaysia.
Oh my. That really looked like a Vietnam team fight, right? But Malaysia found an opening, and it was only because of the fact that the Fredrin was isolated. Surely there were 2 important kills on the side of Team Malaysia, but with the follow-up from Bunny as well as Hani, they were able to supplement the damage so that eventually Fafa will just be able to clean up. Good job on the 1-1. Not even having to use the Inspire for that one because of the positioning, and of course everybody's just literally prepared to be taken out by the flight of the crossbow of Tang.
Yep, and so far in this 11-minute game, that's about as chaotic as it gets for a team like Team Malaysia and Team Vietnam. I have to give credit to Hani. Hani on that Farsa, especially in that last engagement, was in perfect range, was blasting the right targets and helped Team Malaysia gain all the more control of the map. They are now threatening an all-out base turret wipeout.
And during that moment, even her position was really far from the team fight. So it's a difficult thing for Vietnam to look for the Farsa, look for Hani most of the time. So for Malaysia, I mean, the synergy is just there in terms of how they set up a play. Even their Kufra or Arya is coming from out of nowhere. I mean, Vietnam is not really expecting that R is going to be there most of the time.
Yep, in their mother tongue of Bahasa Malaysia, I would say Hani right now is kuat gila, crazy strong.
Yeah.
She's amazing. I hope that just for the sake of this series or this game to extend a little more, Vietnam to find an answer. But looking at their lineup, no one can find Hani.
Yeah. And even then, look at Malaysia. We already talked about the fact that this Farsa is strong with the purple buff even. You can see Fafao also getting orange buff that was taken away from the enemy, which means that every single hit will have a threatening factor. Already, we know that the 1-1 is strong enough, right, in the metagame. But with 2 buffs and a lot of gold to go with it, Malaysia is prepared for an all-out strike in the middle or in the base, in fact, of Vietnam, and just ram their way through the defenses.
As Malaysia will secure that Lord against Vietnam. And Aura was just there to give vision for the team. And Team Vietnam right now, I believe with the lineup that they have, they will struggle a bit in terms of clearing the minion wave or actually trying to defend that Lord, because this is, I consider Lunox to be a single target type of a burst.
In a way,
hero.
yes. Yeah,
I mean, you don't really want to use that Chaos Assault. just to shred the Lord. But we'll see as Lord will march in here at the bottom lane.
When push comes to shove, sometimes that's all you got. Daisy.
Ooh, Anastasia is there as well.
Oh!
Arya, I mean, hogging the players of Vietnam. And the players of Vietnam are already alive as 3 players are down. And Malaysia, the top seeds of Group B.
And it looked so good for Malaysia. They got I would say that they had the better draft anyways. When it comes to just the draft order and the raw power of the heroes that they were able to get, getting the Farsa together with the 1-1, third pick 1-1 because they know that it will not be picked up. Them punishing the first pick Melissa by getting the Farsa as the trade and immediately the Martis. Oh my goodness, Malaysia making a real big case here in the MLBB Women's Division.
So it's gonna be Malaysia versus Indo, right?
That's
oh,
right. No, against Philippines.
Against Philippines.
1 versus 2, 2 versus 1.
Yeah. Okay. So for Malaysia and Philippines, that's gonna be one exciting match with the 2 Farsa users, with
sir.
Amoris and Honey. That is a nice matchup.
Oh no! And here you see, just in game, the hug. You're gonna see the hug in real life.
That's right. That's right.
I thought the players of Vietnam are really tall. I just realized that there's a platform.
There's
in
just a
there.
platform. Yeah.
There's a platform. In
They're okay. They're normal size.
They're normal size.
Yeah, they're okay.
Nobody gets eliminated just yet. Everybody will be heading on to the playoffs, but it is going to be Indonesia, the team that everybody is afraid of, that will be faced by Vietnam. You don't want to be in that spot because now into the playoffs, it will be a single elimination bracket. Although you will still have a shot at the bronze match if ever you lose, but facing up against Indonesia in the first round,
I don't like your odds.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, right? I'm nothing if not logical, and facing off against Indonesia in this case is a difficult situation.
For sure.
I mean, Indonesia has been really dominant in terms of
100%,
the women's category. They have a lot of tournaments for them.
Yep.
Wolf, talk us through exactly what happened here in game number 1. It's a best of 1.
Yeah. Okay. So Malaysia, they started the draft by actually punishing what Vietnam's choices were. Did not ban the 1-1, ban out the Minotaur instead. So they achieved already so much by just the banning phase. Then, because of the fact that they knew that the Melissa was first pick, they now get Farsa and Martis, true strong heroes to go up against heroes of Team Vietnam. Then they had a free pass to get the 1-1 into their third pick, unanswered by Vietnam. Although there was a Lolita, Malaysia was prepared for it by picking up the Lapu-Lapu as well as the Kufra. When it comes to the items, it didn't matter as much because Malaysia knows that they have the advantage just because of the raw power of their heroes. In fact, if you are going to see the stats, damage dealt and damage to turrets, it was converted into the side of Team Malaysia. The carry, Miss Hani coming out from Malaysia with this Farsa because of his positioning and the raw power of this hero against the natural composition of Vietnam. You can see that she surely did thrive in the lineup just because of the fact that their heroes are way too good against the heroes of Vietnam. Sandbag is gonna be this Terizla, which by the way did a lot in this game, despite the fact that it will not be good for the Terizla to play in this kind of battlefield. Vietnam still managed to achieve something just because of what Nokpe was able to do with this Terizla. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Malaysia had the better heroes to deal against the heroes of Team Vietnam, and they also played so well. Surely there were lots of moments of brilliance for Vietnam as they found a lot of openings against Malaysia, but it wasn't enough in the end because Malaysia had so much ways to approach the team fights. They can start with Kufra, Lapu-Lapu, and Slash or Dismartis because they have a lot of engagement tools. Now they also have a lot of damage, and this is because of Hani from Malaysia, which we commended. The positioning that we saw from this Farsa was immaculate, and she was able to pierce through the defenses or lack thereof on the side of Team Vietnam. With the Lightning, Truncheon, and the Crystal alone, with the penetration boots, you have so much raw damage from the Farsa, and she was very much on point, landing the feathered airstrike and the stunts from the 1-2 skill combo. We are going to see through the highlights how Malaysia was able to find the openings. It looked really dicey in the first few minutes of the game, but Malaysia found the opening when the turtle and the neutral objectives opened up in the mid-game. We can see that in the first few minutes, it was a lot of trades that happened. Malaysia eventually lost their jungler in the first few minutes of the game, which was supposedly would be a disaster for their squad because they want to snowball, but because of how they managed to find an opening in the first turtle of the game, denying the invade from the plan of Vietnam to actually get the purple buff for their side, they managed to equalize the game. The fast jungling from Malaysia allowed them to also have a faster tempo when it comes to the first few minutes of the game. Even when literally the first team fight didn't go in their favor, the fact that they were so quick and so on point with the rotation that they have, the order of the jungling, or I mean the jungling pattern from their Martis was so on point that they had a little bit of far advantage in the first few minutes of the game. You can see that Hani on this Farsa just allowed the entirety of Team Malaysia to have a way to approach the team fights in a way that Martis and the 1-1, the way that they are so dependent into chaining kills, you can see that they only relied on Hani, the raw damage output, for them to finish up the kills afterwards. So at 2 minutes time, we can see that the team fight really did go in favor of Team Malaysia just because of the fact that they utilized the Farsa so well. Then, the upcoming Eternal team fight, you can see the Mortar Coil landing onto 2 in combination with the Lapu-Lapu, even when both the Lapu-Lapu and the Martis don't have the best of the crowd controls. If you land it properly, you're going to have a good trade-off. By the way, great shot coming out from Ngokbe with that Terizla. You can see that they managed to get more teamfight kills, but Natasha utilizing the Decimate to its full advantage, and the cross-map plays coming out from Malaysia to pick off the Melissa into the bottom lane allowed Vietnam to have at least, or Malaysia to equalize the farm in the early stages. But here we go once again. Hani just landing the perfect usage of the feathered airstrike. Then Fafao transferring the ultimate to the opposing end with Bunny in front with the Lapu-Lapu, connecting with the bravest fighter, right targets as well. And then they get the ultimate out from Hani, just connecting onto so many members of Team Vietnam for the eventual demise of the Vietnamese squad. You can see that everybody was just showing up in that game.
And you're right, Wolf. A lot of how Team Malaysia got control of the game, even after a hot start from Team Vietnam, was off of the back of the wings of Hani, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, actually, even we saw that on the highlights earlier. Even for Team Vietnam, they wanted to go in for the trades, but at the same time, it's as if Malaysia was just prepared and ready.
I agree.
To defend even a bottom lane turret, even if they are the turtle pit. So right now, it's really more of them calculating the possible options and even outcomes for every decision that they make.
Yeah. You gotta have to be wary, even if your Team Indonesia are going up against Vietnam. And of course, Philippines will be in it for a treat going up against Malaysia after that dominant 2 games we saw. Unfortunately, we'll not see Cambodia and Laos after their well-fought 2 games today. Sadly, we'll not be seeing them in the playoffs.
But with that, again, now in the next stages of our competition, Group A and Group B will now collide.
Yep.
We will now see a better picture of what the Sea Games metagame for Women's MLBB might look. Here they are. The first best of 3 will be between Indonesia and Vietnam. Again, Vietnam's going to dig deep here.
Yep.
They're going to have to show us some, I don't know, pocket picks or strategies, much like their Minotaur, if they're going to try to upset Indonesia here. While the second BO3, that's going to happen later on tonight for a closer, going to be between Malaysia and the Philippines. I'd say this one's going to be close.
Yep, definitely for Philippines and Malaysia in terms of heroes. I mean, they've been playing on international tournaments, competing with each other. So definitely, they already know the possibilities in terms of how to counter out each other on that semifinals, best of 3 game, second semifinals for today.
Yep, so that's going to happen later on tonight. Expect, folks, for the tempo of the competition to actually change, because between BO1s and BO3s, they're totally different beasts.
Absolutely. Now, especially because you've seen at least 2 games for each team, you know what the drafts will look like, so you have to answer accordingly when you are facing up against your opponents in the playoffs.
And here we go, confirmed. It is going to be Indonesia facing off against Vietnam in our next matchup. Again, that's going to be a best of 3. So if I were you, I'd not miss out. This is a match that you're gonna not want to miss, because again, the promise of the Minotaur, if Team Indonesia will bunch, if they're gonna make like Malaysia, you're about to find out. Stay with us. You're watching the official English broadcast of 32nd Sea Games for MLBB Women's. You're gonna be staying with us. We'll be right back.
Every day, I have this reoccurring dream.